evening, everybody, and welcome to the Speed Racing Network Cup Series Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show. I'm Greg Olenik here with my co-host Brandon Domingue. Brandon, how you doing tonight, bud?
Always good to have race night. I know we got a couple weeks without the real deal going on TV, so hopefully we can kind of be a little bit of a patch during this Olympic break for NASCAR in real life and all the other series, really. So excited to be running here at Kansas tonight with our Cup guys. How you doing tonight?
Feeling pretty good, man. We've had a good weekend so far, and like you said, we got a little bit of off weeks upcoming with the actual Cup Series and all the NASCAR series with the Olympics taking place. So we hope you guys are enjoying that and a little bit of time off. But like you said, we're going to try our best to take care of the void that is in your lives right now. But like I mentioned earlier, we have the Cup cars tonight at Kansas Speedway. The third time we've been at Kansas Speedway this week, Brandon. We've had some phenomenal racing in the Truck Series and Xfinity Series already. Do you expect a lot of the same tonight?
You know, I do. The truck race is hard to beat just with how exciting that thing was from start to finish. I know you're going to be a little bit biased to think Thursday was the greatest race of the week. Congratulations again on that win a couple nights ago. But we had two great races thus far, even though it's different styles between the trucks and the Xfinity cars. Cup cars, it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to see a lot of the top line, I do think, but there's still a little bit more option to be running low, running middle than what we saw on the Xfinity cars. So it'll be a little bit more like the trucks. I think we're going to see a great show tonight.
I think I backed out for a second. I think I'm back now. For some reason, my audio backed out. Let me see if I can pull the stream up. But yeah, I expect a lot of the same that we saw earlier in the week with the Truck Series. These guys are going to be all over the track, top, bottom. They're going to be even running the middle of the turns, and they're going to be passing and taking slide jobs any chance that they can get. So let's go ahead and move on in our show and talk about exactly what we're going to be doing here tonight. If I can get this screen pulled back up, Brandon, I might have to have you take it for a second.
Well, we do tonight have the Kansas race, as we'll have 130 laps going those 200 miles here tonight as we get our second race of the season in, and there again, no fast repairs. That is the common theme that we've seen with the Cup Series going back to last season as well. So we do still have that here, and it did play a factor, I thought, in the Xfinity race on Thursday, where that was the first mile-and-a-half race without fast repairs for the Xfinity cars. We saw a little bit more cautious racing than I think we would have in past seasons where we had fast repairs included.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. The Cup Series is used to that and kind of taking care of their cars, but they got 195 miles tonight to do so. So it's going to be tough for them to actually pull that off and get that car to the finish. But let's go ahead and talk about our league details here coming up on the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show. You see it right there. It is a 20-week fixed setup league with no fast repairs, like I just mentioned. $15 a week, an entry fee that they're paying to get into the show, and they are racing for weekly and season payouts. The champion of the Cup Series is going to walk away with a cool $1,000. And you mentioned the team championships as well. They're going to go up to 5 people per team, and they are running for, I believe, $300 for that team championship fund. So there's a lot of money on the line, Brandon.
A lot of money that's available for the drivers here in the Cup Series, and you look at it, $15 a week, you're able to get that $45, and we'll cover all the places there for the weekly fees or the weekly payouts for this race. But you can triple your money in a single race, and if you win that championship at the end of the season, you're talking some pretty significant money. Add in that we can have the team champions winning money as well. Just a lot of ways that you can make some a nice little side job here when it comes to SRN.
Yeah, don't let the IRS find out. But yeah, you could win a nice chunk of change here at Speed Racing Network. But let's go ahead and see what they're racing for tonight at the Jayhawk 195. First place going to come away with a cool $45. Second place going to come away with $30, and third through fifth is going to get their money back right there. $15 going to each of those guys.
Yeah, and that's just another way to kind of supplement that money, that income that you can make here in the league. And there's not many leagues that are doing both weekly and season-long payouts. Just another way that SRN really does stand out. But you're looking at tripling your money for winning, doubling your money for second. If you get the top 5, you're guaranteed your money back, if not more. So just a really nice way to just kind of add a little bit more to the racing and to add a little bit more seriousness to the racing than you might see in the official races on iRacing.
Absolutely. So they are going to go run for that tonight, but let's go ahead and take a look at the season payouts that we just saw. Our season champion going to come away with a cool $1,000 you see right there on your screen. And unlike last season, we were having drivers race for 5 spots to win. Going through the playoffs, the final 5 is really the only ones that got paid out season-wise. But now we're going to pay out the top 8. So even more cash being handed out to all these guys. First place going to get $1,000. Second going to come away with $600. Third's going to get $350. Fourth going to get $200. With fifth coming away with $125. And then Brandon, those extra 3 spots. Sixth place going to get $100. Seventh's going to get $75. And eighth going to come away with $50.
Yeah, and you look at it, you run every single race this season, it's $300 in entry fees. That's not counting what you win over the season. But if you finish in the top 3, you're making your money back even without those weekly payouts. It's significant money that we do see here on the season table. I like that it has extended beyond making the championship 5. I kind of wish it did that a year earlier with my circumstances there in the truck series. But I like that there's something there. It adds that little bit of an element for the drivers that might have fallen back or maybe even missed a race in the playoff.
Yeah, so if you don't make it to that final 5, you still got something to race for. Just another great addition to Speed Racing Network. But something that's not a new addition that we have offered for quite some time now here at SRN is the Kane Cook Sim Coaching. And Brandon, you and I both take advantage of this on a regular basis. And I have to give the man some credit. We worked quite a bit on Kansas prep for this week on Thursday's race, and like you mentioned earlier, I kind of came away with a win on Thursday. So this man definitely knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, he helped you out a lot. I know he's helped me out a lot in the season prep. And you look at that iRating, 7,400. We bring that up often. Just that's an amazing number. You're looking at the average for our Cup drivers here around that 25 to 3,000. There's a few outliers there that are going to be a little bit higher in our league, but you're looking at that. That's a professional rated driver racing in a league that's got $300,000 on the line. Dude knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I could not imagine racing for that kind of money, but you see it right there in the red text. If you're interested in some Kane Cook Sim Coaching, it's really easy to do. Book your session on speedracingnetwork.com. It'll take you right to the homepage, and you just scroll down a little bit. His face will be right there like you see on the screen right now, and you just click a couple prompts, and you'll be taken all care of for your session coming up later on in the week. It's really easy to do, so do take advantage of that if you're interested. But a new session to the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show that we are both very excited about is the Beer of the Week, and that's presented by Beer Street Journal, and Sean Griffith has it for us this week.
This week's Beer of the Week comes out of the New Realm Brewing Company in Georgia. They call it Tyrannosaurus Flex. It's part of the brewery's Monsters and Myths Double IPA series. The can itself is rocking a sweet 80s vibe along with a picture of the T-Flex himself. Inside the can, the beer is brewed with hops from New Zealand and yeast from Norway. It's an interesting combination that gives this double IPA some mango, pineapple, peach, apricot, and some other citrus flavors. This beer was originally released in 2019, but it fell into extinction until New Realm Brewing Company decided to bring it back to life. You can find this beer in all the New Realm Brewing Company locations, including Atlanta, Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, Virginia Beach, and Charleston, South Carolina. But don't wait too long or the T-Flex may once again become extinct. The Beer of the Week is brought to you by Beer Street Journal. Beer Street Journal brings you reviews of the latest and greatest beers from all across the country. Go to beerstreetjournal.com to find your next great beer. And as always, you must be 21 and please drink responsibly.
Well, there you have it, Brandon. Tyrannosaurus Flex. Thanks, Sean, for that. You know, we love seeing the Beer of the Week presented by Beer Street Journal. An absolutely awesome new segment that we have Brandon, what are you thinking about this 8.6% alcohol to volume there? That'll do you in after 2.
Yeah, that's a pretty sturdy beer there. 8.6, that is solid. Definitely one of the local breweries to me, as I live out by Atlanta now, so a place I'll definitely have to check out here pretty soon.
Yeah, I got to check out New Realm, so do that. And please, if at home, if you're interested in anything, this is a really cool website. Check out beerstreetjournal.com. Find more amazing beers there. So let's go ahead and look at our season standings after 1 week, crazy race at Daytona. And at the top, James Holzer came home second, finishing behind an Xfinity Series driver and Ryan Ducombe last week, but he's going to be our points leader only by a point, right over Reese Schaefer and Seth Berger, Brandon.
Yeah, and the big thing here is we're seeing a big shakeup when it comes to who our playoff drivers were from last season. It's I would say about half of them are in our top 15 at this point, and of course it's only after 1 week. Daytona being the absolute wild card that we'll see here in the regular season. We'll also have Talladega coming up later, but now we're getting to the real meat of things with these mile and a half starting tonight. I think we're going to see a little bit more of a shakeup.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and check outside the cut as well, just to see who we have looking to get in to that top 15. And right there at the top, Dean Brummett, a surprising name nonetheless. But like you mentioned, Daytona being a wild card, you're going to have all kinds of crazy names like you see there. Gabriel Ellison, Austin Reedy, all these guys. David Duke sitting outside the cut. Scott Kalal, also one of those drivers that made the playoffs last season.
Yeah, and a big part of it, too, is on this list in red, you're seeing Dean Brummett, Gabriel Ellison, who you mentioned, two of the cleanest, in fact, the two cleanest drivers from last season, each had trouble at Daytona. I think we're going to see them start moving their way up here pretty quick.
I couldn't agree more. Let's go ahead and check out our next segment here on the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show. It's going to be our team standings. Sitting at the top right now, Tank Racing coming away with the most points after Daytona, followed by Rowell Motorsports, just 2 points behind. And then R&D Motorsports going to round out our top 3. Any big surprises to you here, Brandon?
I mean, you always look at, Rowell Motorsports had the team favorite here going into the season. They're sitting in second, so not really a huge surprise there, seeing that they're right there at the top. I'm happy seeing my striker guys sitting there in fourth, but the big thing here too is we got that 8-team playoff that we're going to be doing. So as it stands right now, it's going to be based on these points, and they're just fighting for the proper seeding as we get into that playoff.
That playoff is going to add an extra element to the end of the season. It's going to be very exciting. But let's go ahead and get into the team intros here on the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show. And we always like to go in the order of those standings. So first up is going to be Tank Racing. Like we mentioned, they had a really good showing out at Daytona, coming away with the most points. Have a great team put together, headed by Emerson Ardon, who was an Xfinity Series driver last year. And they're going to have on board with them Joshua Balliet, Reese Schaefer, Seth Berger, and Max Service, who was out last week due to appendicitis, hoping he's back tonight. And if they can get the whole team out there, they should be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, they can definitely back up a good start from Daytona. Good to see Max back this week after missing the season opener. As it stands right now, still very early in qualifying, currently on the provisional pole, so might be getting a little bit of rest this week after recovering and putting it to good use.
Yeah, it'd be nice for him to get back out there, start with some fresh air, because that's going to be key here at Kansas tonight. But let's go ahead and move on to our next team here in the team intros. That's going to be Rowell Motorsports. A little bit of a different name now. We're used to being them RSR. It's going to throw me off for at least a couple of races, but now they're RMS. And they're going to be headed by their team captain there, Jake Rowell, followed by Dean Brummett, who's showing some really good speed out there tonight. James Holzer, our season leader so far in the points, runner-up at Daytona. Last season's champion, Scott Healy in the 64, and Nick Goen, who had a couple wins in the Xfinity Series last year.
Yeah, and tonight in practice thus far, or as practice just wrapped up, they had 3 of the top 4 positions on the speed chart, so definitely a sign that they may be the team to beat here tonight.
Absolutely, and I look for them to get on the board with a win in no time, but let's go ahead and move on to our third place team. That's going to be one that we are used to seeing here at SRN. It's going to be R&D Motorsports, headed by their team captain, David Duke, there in the 78 machine, and he has a great little team forming here with still a spot open on R&D Motorsports. But the 5-car, Timothy Latham, he won a couple races last year. The 15 of Brian Mabry, the 55 of Jordan Sailors, and I already mentioned him right there, the captain, the 78 of David Duke.
Yeah, and tonight especially, I think keep an eye on that 5-car. One of the better drivers out there on mile and a halfs. One of the favorites tonight. I expect some pretty good running here tonight from Latham.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and move on to the next team in our team intros here on the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show. It's going to be your team, Stryker Motorsports, and they had a pretty decent showing last week at Daytona, able to come away with 4th place points in the team standings. You see it there, fast as lightning. They got the 05 of Mike Lewis, the 19 of Bo Brady, the 37 of Rowell Meza, the 48 of Kyle Johnson, and the 96 of Joe Ruggles Jr.
Yeah, and this was, I think we kind of knew that we were going to be a little bit of an underdog team here at the Cup side of things, and bringing up a couple drivers from the Truck Series last year, bringing in a couple newcomers, and Raul had a great showing there, being in the top 10 at Daytona. Team just looked really solid. A couple of them did get caught up in some of the trouble out there on the track, but a great showing for the first week in the Cup Series for Stryker.
Absolutely. We called the 48, Kyle Johnson's name, quite a bit at Daytona. He was really leading the charge up to the front, so I'm excited to see if he can bring that same kind of excitement here to Kansas Speedway this week and really help his team climb those standings and potentially get a win for Stryker Motorsports. That would be huge with such a young team here in the Cup Series. But now let's go ahead and move on to a new team on the block. A little bit of a name change this week. It's going to be Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing here, and they got 5th place points last week. Had a little bit of trouble out there at Daytona, which is bound to happen. But they are headed by their man Austin Reedy there in the 1 car, followed by Kyle Benson, who had a decent showing up front last week at Daytona. Jacob Smith in the 11, Craig Lautenslager in the 13, and John Honeycutt in the 50 car.
Yeah, and I think Austin Reedy is going to be the one that kind of steals the attention here, but I think Kyle Benson had a great showing last week at Daytona. Curious to see if he can convert that here to a more traditional mile and a half. Jacob Smith being in the fold here, that's a big pickup, and I think that's going to take this team up a little bit higher as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. 2 playoff drivers that went really deep into the playoffs last season. They have a lot of firepower. Kyle Benson, like I mentioned, had a really good run at Daytona last week. Excited to see what Craig and John can do when they get out there and see if they can really build on this 5th place standings in the team standings right now. But let's go ahead and move on to our next team here on the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show. It's Revved Racing, the original, coming up here, headed by their team captain, the 3-car Byron Mcdonald, who moved up from the Truck Series this year. And man, they have put together quite a team over here at Rev Racing. Scott Kalal in the 23, the 27 of Gabriel Ellison, the 36 of Kyle Spees, and the 99 of Chris Lawrence.
Yeah, and if you want a team that may have a shot at sweeping the podium along with Rowell in Motorsports, if you want to see that battle play out, I think this is the team that really can do it. You're looking at last year's Kansas winner, Gabriel Ellison in the 27, the Kansas runner-up, Kyle Spees in the 36, Scott Kalal, always solid on mile and a half. This team might be a very good pick for team success tonight.
Yeah, 3 of these guys making it to the playoffs last year in the Cup Series. Kyle Spees mentioned to me this week that he's really wanting to get a win after finishing so many times on the podium. He's itching to get that first win in the 36, so I expect him to be strong tonight. Let's go ahead and move on to our next team. It's going to be another new team, like I like to mention here on SRN. We love all the new talent here coming up to the Cup Series, and you see it there. It's Ramsey Cole Racing still working on building this team, as they only have 2 guys on there, headed by Andrew Lewis in the 12 car and the 41 of Ty Cole.
It's only a team of 2, but they did very well for themselves at Daytona, each of them. And I think if they can get at least a couple more drivers in on this team, they may be a threat to make a charge up that team leaderboard.
Yeah, I expect them to build quite a nice team as the season goes on. They got a few independents out there that they can work with. We'll get to that shortly. But let's go ahead and move up to our final team here in the standings, and it's the second team for Rev Racing. But they go by a little bit of a different name, Rev Reloaded out here, and you see them in the 8-car, Michael Politis, the 20 of Casey Feaster, the 21 of Jeffrey Vickery, and the 73 car of Dalton Tucker. Dalton Tucker really strong out there tonight.
Yeah, he's looking very good through practice and currently in the top 10 here in qualifying as we get to the final minute or so. But this team, there was that struggle last week. It's still a very new team. Everybody here a rookie to SRN. And I think as things time out a little bit more and they get a little bit more time in the league, I think that'll help them out and start to help them make their way up the team leaderboard.
Yeah, no reason none of these guys can really learn from a lot of the guys out there. But let's go ahead and get to our independent drivers. Quite a few of them out there to fill out the field. John Doc Holliday in the 2-car, a beautiful 2-car at that. The 01 of Bo Tiffany, an Xfinity regular. A truck regular there in the 18 of Bobby Anderson. Ryan Ducombe, last week's winner at Daytona. Chris Massey coming out here tonight. Good to see him in the 83 car. And the 14 of Zachary Taylor going to be our independent drivers tonight, Brandon.
Yeah, and always good to see the independents, especially here at a track like this. I think it really bodes well for drivers that are from other series. The Cup cars just translate really well on this track, and I think it's a good experience builder for some guys that want to get a little Cup experience.
Absolutely. Never wrong doing that. You can learn a lot from these guys as we got one of the winningest drivers there sitting in 6th. But let's go ahead and talk about our lineup here tonight as qualifying is over and we are gridding up for the Jayhawk 195. Gabriel Ellison going to be our pole sitter tonight with Dean Brummett just sitting outside. David Duke going to be 3rd with Kyle Benson sitting there in 4th.
Yeah, and then our next 2 rows, we're going to have Timothy Latham starting in the 5th position in the number 5 car. Jake Rowell in 6th, representing Rowell Motorsports. Row 4, Seth Berger out of Tank Racing in the 77 on the inside. And then on the outside, Landon Lacy, our highest qualifying independent. He'll be running in the 53.
Then you got the captain of Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing. It's going to be Austin Reedy there in 9th. Dalton Tucker out of Rev Reloaded is going to be starting 10th. Last week's winner at Daytona, Ryan Ducombe, an Xfinity regular, going to be starting 11th with Nick Gowen starting in 12th for Rowell Motorsports. So, Brandon, we like to always talk about it as these guys grid up and start heading out there on the track. I'll give you the first pick of the night. Who you taking tonight, bud?
I always hate taking the obvious one, and I think this turned out to look a little bit obvious in a way. But last year's Kansas winner, one of the best drivers on mile and a halfs. In fact, he had the best average finish at 3.6 over the 9 mile and a half races, and starting on the pole. I got to go with Gabriel Ellison here to take the win tonight.
Stressed at that. Look at that, man. Just in his tux out there, looking good. Not a bad pick, Brandon. He's going to be strong tonight as you see him starting on the pole. I'm going to go ahead with another little bit of an obvious pick. He was a strong starter to last season, won a few races here in SRN. Kind of fizzled out in the playoffs, but I look for him to get a little bit of redemption as he heads out here tonight. Really good. One of the best drivers we have at the mile and a half. It's going to be Timothy Latham in the 5 car, a beautiful 5 car at that, running for R&D Motorsports. The beautiful 5 Raise Energy machine. He, like I mentioned, is the best average finish for any guys out there tonight that ran last season at mile and a half, so he is my guy.
Yeah, and those both of them are 2 of the cleanest drivers that we had last season at mile and a half as well. Timothy Latham actually the second cleanest, averaging just 0.6 incident points a race, which is absolutely outstanding over the run of 9 races at these intermediates.
Yeah, well, that's going to help you get really good finishes, and that's why we see him with that really, really great average finish at mile and a half. So you got to take care of your car to make it to the end to potentially get that win. So we'll see if these guys are able to do that. But right now, our front row is getting ready to go at it. We got Gabriel Ellison, Dean Brummett, itching for that pace car to get off to see that green flag. And there you see it. The pace car is off. Gabriel Ellison's going to see that green flag wave, and we are underway at the Jayhawk 195. He doesn't really get a good jump on Dean Brummett. Dean Brummett's going to get a nice restart here to start the race. He's going to be right to the outside of that 27 machine.
And I think if there's a little bit more heat in the tires, I think that actually bodes very well for the 25 to pull away right out of the gate. But on cold tires, that high line is a little bit loose. Little contact there between Brummett and David Duke in the 78. They're going to get it sorted out, but Brummett going to be stuck in the middle, 3 wide early on cold tires, 4 wide on cold tires.
Yeah, Kyle Benson wasting no time to make a move on Dean Brummett, really putting Dean in a really bad position, but he's going to get on the outside finally. You know, I've heard all week from these drivers that the middle lane is kind of the worst spot on the track. We'll see right here as Dean Brummett's going to the outside of David Duke. So you're either going to want to be on that low line or high line. Kyle Benson's starting to fall back a little bit right now. Gabriel Ellison sitting pretty there with his former teammate, my pick tonight, Timothy Latham, already up to second from 6th. We're only on lap 2, so he is making some hay tonight, picking up some spots.
And our picks 1-2 very early in this 130-lap race, but not a huge surprise seeing the two best drivers at mile and a half last season out in front once again. Seth Berger sitting in third on the inside of Dean Brummett, but we are seeing some wild racing right out of the gate.
No settling in yet, and this was kind of how it felt for the Xfinity Series race. It's really hard to get good track position here at Kansas Speedway, so anytime we had a restart on Thursday, and we saw it on Wednesday too, these guys really went at it to really try and make some slide drops happen or pass a guy on the outside low line or outside high line, excuse me, to pick up some spots and get up to the front. And that's exactly what we're seeing Dean Brummett do as he fell back to 5th, it looked like, and he's already making a move for the lead.
And looking on the inside, it's going to be a good sign here of what line is going to be the dominant line tonight. I think there's still an option between the low and the high. He's going to slide up there in front of Ellison, block the momentum, and stay out in front. And Dean Brummett going to lead his first lap of the night.
Yeah, two of our cleaner drivers here in SRN leading it here. And, you know, these guys are both, in their own right, really great at saving their stuff. So we could be seeing Gabriel Ellison kind of taking it easy to start here, but he's got to be careful to not lose too many positions because, like I just mentioned, this is one of the harder mile-and-a-half tracks to pick up spots. But here you see Ryan Ducombe, last week's winner at Daytona, already up to the top 5, having a great start to his race tonight. And you know what? Probably wondering if he should have just run the Cup Series full-time this year.
He's definitely got that vibe right now. Still doing very well himself, his own right in the Xfinity Series. But, yeah, off to a great start here in the Cup side of things, sitting in that 4th position side by side with Seth Berger, who's going to take the 4th spot. Jake Rowell looking to do the same. But that inside line, I think, is working a little bit better than I anticipated it to. I thought the high line was going to be the way to go, similar to what we saw on Thursday. But they're really showing that that inside line can handle its own.
Yeah, I have no clue how these cars are going to react after, you know, running that low line for a certain amount of laps. On Thursday, we had a certain amount of laps that we could run on the low line before we really had to start moving up to the track and kind of taking care of those tires. So we're going to see exactly how it works for these guys that are sticking to the low line. But right here, Seth Berger, another big mover so far. He started 7th. He's already working on 3rd. Getting past Gabriel Ellison. He's got to be real careful as Gabriel's still there on the outside. He's going to be the meat of the sandwich here in between Gabriel. Well, now Jake Rowell and Ryan Ducombe. He's going to lose his spots just as we were starting to talk about him.
And, you know, that 3 wide down the front stretch, you see all the options there. You technically could pull off 5 wide if you really needed to. Not that that's recommended, but there's a lot of space there, especially with that apron being available. But 3 wide is incredibly sketchy down that front straightaway because you don't really have a great visual of what's going on around you at that point, especially on the outside because of the way that the view is from inside that car. So it's very easy to get some wrecks kind of started there. But, man, they're doing a great job. We've seen a lot of side-by-side and 3 wide racing out in front, but single file in the lead position for Dean Brummett.
Yeah, he's having a great race so far, and I know he really wants to get that win checked off early as he had trouble last season. Getting that first win took him quite a bit of the regular season to get it done before he was making it into the playoffs, but still got it done nonetheless. Dean, one of the better drivers here in SRN. He's already got a fan out there in the chat. You see from James V, hashtag the Dean team. I couldn't agree with you more. He is leading all the cars out there tonight in SRN's Cup Series, doing a great job running that high line.
And I think you brought up a good point a bit ago with knowing how many laps you can get away with on the inside, and that was something I fell victim to. I kind of got pinned on the inside Thursday for quite a few amount of laps, and the tire wear was hard to overcome. And I think we're seeing that play out a little bit here because everybody's starting to filter up to that high line right up by the wall, running Kansas similar to Darlington, just with a little bit more space to make a move on the inside.
Yeah, it's just, you know, if you think about it, you're really sending the car down into that turn if you're running that bottom line, trying to clear the guy up top, and it's really eating that tire up. But if you're running that high line, you're kind of easing the car into the turn and not turning it as much at the same time, and that's ultimately going to save you some tires. So these guys, that's why they're moving up so early on in the run. They're just preserving it because right now these guys are doing a great job already on a 12-lap green flag run to start this race, 130-lap race. So a long way to go, but right now, Jake Rowell is a man on a mission trying to make his way up to third. He's going to try and slide job Gabriel. I don't think he's going to be able to get it done. He's going to really let off here, and Gabriel's going to have a big run, followed by Austin Reedy on the outside. They're both going to clear him.
Oh, we got trouble on the back straightaway. Seeing one around its max service, one of our faster qualifiers tonight. And he's going to be sideways. I think we had a couple other cars get involved in this one down the backstretch, and it only took about 12 laps this week. It's a decent run there to start the race with, as aggressive as this start was before we saw that first caution in our first Beer Street Journal wreck replay of the night.
As always, please drink responsibly. I'm going to take a little bit of credit there because I just mentioned what a great run to, or a great start to the race we saw. And you see it there, the 81 getting turned by the 14 machine of Zach Taylor, an independent running this week out of the Xfinity Series. Max Service going to have a little bit of damage there to the front end and see if he's going to have time to get it fixed in the pits during this yellow flag. But yeah, he just slid up in front of the 14, not really picking a lane, and that's just a little bit of a miscommunication between drivers, and I don't think either did wrong in their own rights.
Meanwhile, as this is going on and we're looking at this, we got another incident on the racetrack. And a couple cars get turned around under caution as we watch this one more time. As you see the 14 and the 81 just get a little bit together. It doesn't take much coming out of the turn to really kind of wash up a little bit. But yeah, we saw Nick Goen and Joshua Balliet in the 7 come together under yellow and have an issue. And I do not know what happened there. I'm wondering if there's an equipment malfunction that happened for Balliet. The way that he just snapped down, he also was blinked out for a second. I think there's a connection issue or some type of error there going on for that 7.
I think just happened was, like you mentioned, he did blink out, and when that happens, you lose track and sight of the cars that are on the track. So I'm wondering if they just kind of scared him when he saw the field directly in front of him. But yeah, hopefully Nick Owen and Joshua Balliet are going to be able to get that damage fixed. Not what you want when you're pacing under yellow heading into the pits. We got green flag or yellow flag pit stops right now. Everyone coming out, and Byron Mcdonald is going to be our leader on the track right now, looking like he stayed out on the track to get that track position.
Yeah, so McDonald and Schaefer both stay out. Schaefer now making his way to pit road. I think he was trying to see if maybe he could lead a lap, or he just missed the entry and decided to come over next time by. But Byron McDonald going to continue to hold the lead, and it's going to be interesting. 12 green flag laps I don't think is going to be too sketchy on the restart where you might spin the tires, but it's definitely going to be slower than those fresh tires once they get up to speed. So I think if you're Latham, Ellison, Brummett, you're going to be near McDonald, who's going to have that little bit of a slower run on those older tires. That might be something to keep an eye on here on this restart.
Yeah, McDonald starting 34th this race, already up to first. He might have been able to take care of his stuff a little bit more than these guys that were racing really hard up towards the front. So his stuff might be okay, but his tires have already been through that heat cycle. And obviously, you know, he has no cars to cushion those guys on fresh tires. So Timothy Latham and Gabriel Ellison, along with Dean Brummett, are all licking their chops right now, hoping to, you know, maybe use him as a pick to get out to the lead. But right now I expect fully for Timothy Latham to kind of dive it down into turn 1 and maybe slide up in front of the 3 if he's able to. We'll find out exactly what happens as they are rounding turns 3 and 4. We're about to get back under green here at the Jayhawk 195. See the pace car peel off. Byron McDonald starting on the high line, which is a little bit of a surprise. You want to probably start on the bottom to be able to jump down to that apron like we see Timothy Latham do. Byron gets a really good restart, though. He's going to be able to clear those guys and potentially pull out to a little bit of a lead, as we're going to have a battle here between Timothy Latham and Dean Brummett. But nope, Timothy Latham is going to be able to fly by him on the inside here.
Yeah, and that's the tire wear difference. You really think about losing maybe a tenth of a second a lap. Now, you could negate that a little bit. It's kind of obviously a plus-minus, but it's going to be a little bit slower. We got caution on the racetrack. Not sure where we've got our incident here as we're taking a look around.
Seeing any cars. Oh, I see the 88, the 05 of Mike Lewis on the backstretch, so I think that's going to be our culprit there. One of these guys, the 83 of Chris Massey, also involved. Took a little bit for my map to show up these cars on the backstretch, but these are the three that are involved. Yeah, the 88, the 03, or the 83 and the 05, all three involved in this second caution. This is going to be our Beer Street Journal Rec replay. Let's see exactly what happened to these guys, Brandon.
Also coming down onto the back straightaway out of turn 2, looks like Mike Lewis, he got loose coming out of 2 and then just blinks out. So definitely a connection issue there. See if we can get a better look from anybody else. And I think we're having a little bit of tech issues here, trying to get this going. But yeah, you can see where that's starting to go bad for Mike Lewis, and then we lose track of what happened. So obviously he was going to be going around at that point, unless he makes an incredible save. But yeah, with the blink out, unable to see that and how that would have played out, but we did get under caution regardless.
Yeah, it's really hard for us to follow any of these cars once they blink out. iRacing just does not pick them up anymore if their connection loses connection with the server for a second. So we apologize for that. But those were the three cars that were involved: the 05 of Mike Lewis, the 88 of Nick Goen again, and the 83 of Chris Massey. But yeah, a lot of guys staying out this time. Only a few guys going down pit road. One of them was Byron Mcdonald. He did not like how fast they were able to get by him on that first turn. And like I mentioned, I was really surprised he started on the outside there. You got to want to get down to the bottom and run the inside of these turns during the first lap or so to help you build up some speed, and then you want to slide on up, Brandon.
Yeah, and I thought that was a little bit surprising, unless he just did not feel comfortable on the inside on those slightly older tires and just wanted that little bit of a runoff where, like you were saying earlier, just not having to turn as much and wear out those tires as much. But it was an interesting call, but he did get that lap led by staying out on that last one, which does give him a bonus point as we move forward in the season. Obviously still very early, but never too early to be looking at the point standings. And this race being led by Timothy Latham, he's sitting there in the top 10 in points after our first race at Daytona. Dean Brummett, one of the names out in front that you do not see out there, along with Austin Reedy. So 3 of our top 4 drivers actually not in the top 15 in the points.
That's what we do. We love talking about our standings, and you're right, man. We got a lot of guys up towards the front right now looking to build on that, disappointing Daytona finish, and they're doing a great job so far. Only 20 laps into this race, though, 110 still to go. So this is a long race tonight, and it's going to be even longer if they're not able to clean it up. We're already on our second caution of the night. Had a great green run to start, but a quick caution there. Not exactly sure what happened, like we mentioned, but nonetheless, the pace car lights are off, and we are about to go green again. Timothy Latham, our leader, followed by Dean Brummett on the outside. Austin Reedy is going to be third. Gabriel Ellison starting fourth. And last week's Daytona winner, Ryan Ducombe, having a great run so far in that Rainbow Warrior 24. That's such a cool car to see out there.
Cool car to see, and I think there's some magic with that paint scheme as well, seeing the start to the season that Ducombe has had. But it's going to be Latham on the inside, Brummett on the outside as we get ready to go for our third green flag of the night.
Getting ready to go green here. Timothy Latham's going to drop way down. This is the way you want to do it on these restarts, kind of build you some extra space. And like you see it right there, no cars near him. He's got about a 2-3 car gap to the 25 of Dean Brummett, maybe even bigger. He's got 4 or 5 cars as Austin Reedy's going to get by Dean Brummett on the inside. We're 3 wide. Whoa. As Gabriel Ellison is falling back. Landon Lacy, his Rev Racing teammate running as an independent this week, going to go by him on the inside. He's got to really dip down here before Kyle Benson. Yeah, you had to block Kyle Benson there before he took a look to the inside. Now Seth Berger is the one stuck in the middle as Landon Lacy slides up in front of him. We got racing all over the place, Brandon.
My goodness, this is looking like Phoenix more than Kansas with the way they were going on these restarts, seeing all kinds of lanes, all kinds of passing, and a lot of action out there. Amazing that they were all able to keep it straight there for that lap, especially Gabriel Ellison being stuck in the middle.
Well, we got a battle for the lead now. Timothy Latham under fire from Austin Reedy, and Ryan Ducombe looking to get up there and make a name for himself. Maybe go back-to-back as an independent running part-time in the Cup Series. He's up to second as he's to the inside of Austin Reedy, going to try and clear him as he heads into one. We'll see if he's able to pull off a slide job. Jake Rowell looking to get in the mix now, too. Landon Lacy, a 2-time winner in the Cup Series last season, up in the mix as well.
This is just fantastic racing thus far, and Kansas has been a absolute treat to SRN this week. But the man out front, Timothy Latham, you said Ducom looking to go back-to-back to start the season. Latham did that last year when we started the season with Kentucky and Chicago. He won both those races on the way to leading the most laps on the season at intermediate tracks, and here he is out front once again.
Yeah, Timothy Latham definitely with the talent to just really dominate this series. But, you know, like we mention all the time, this series is full of talented drivers, so he has his hands full as Austin Reedy starting to drop back a little bit, worrying about Ryan Ducom behind him. They're all going to slide up here on the high side. Ryan Ducom almost getting into the wall right there. Jake Rowell is going to get that momentum off the turn as Ryan Ducom had to get out of the gas a little more than he wanted to. Ryan is going to have to try his hardest to clear his team captain cleanly, as this is the series that Jake Rowell is running in full time, as they're going to be 2x2 heading out of turn 2. I don't think Jake's going to be able to clear. No, he's going to slide up, and he is clear for third.
You look a little loose there for Ducom in the 24. And we're going to see Landon Lacy in the 53 take advantage with a little bit of a crossover, moving down to the inside. He's going to take that fourth position in the black and light blue car that's now out in fourth and in that line behind Rowell and Latham.
A battle for the lead. They're side by side heading into one. Austin Reedy looking to clear Timothy Latham as they go into one. He's not going to send it in there near enough. They're going to come out 2x2. He's got to be careful not to slide up into the 5. He's got to get out of the gas a little bit, giving the momentum to the 5 car of Timothy Latham. Jake Rowell is going to be thinking about hopping to his outside now. He's see if he can get in the mix too to get up there and lead some laps this season.
This has just been incredible racing. I think we just saw somebody catch the wall just a little bit coming out of turn 4. If they didn't, it was very close, around that 12th to 15th position. It's very easy to do, is catching the wall here, as Latham getting a little bit loose there, coming down that line a little, and that's going to open up a little bit of an advantage for Austin Reedy, but it's also going to put Jake Rowell right on that back bumper of Latham. He's going to get a good shove to the inside, sends it deep, and he's going to get the nose out in front, but not going to be able to clear him just yet, and he does get him out of turn 4.
13 cars within 1 second, and this battle is not going away for the lead. Austin Reedy going to have what I believe is the preferred lane running the high side. If Timothy Latham doesn't slide up and Austin Reedy is able to keep his bumper to his side, which I think he will here, Austin Reedy is going to have great momentum heading down into turn 3. Now Jake Rowell is going to become the problem for Timothy Latham. Timothy's going to be really in trouble here if he's unable to get up. This happened to me on Thursday where 3 cars were in a line and I was stuck down there on the bottom, and it is just impossible because they get so much momentum from running that inside, and that's exactly what we're seeing as Landon Lacy is to Timothy Latham's outside, and next is going to be Dean Brummett. So Timothy Latham in a little bit of trouble here. He's going to have to take care of his car and find a spot to move up, and I don't see that spot anywhere within the top 10.
Yeah, I had a line about 6-7 deep that started going on the outside and just pinning me on the inside on Thursday, and it's frustrating because you're faster on entry, but you give up so much time on exit because of the speed and the pace that they carry out of the turn. But you also get frustrated because you know that is just an absolute cheese grater on those tires compared to that outside line. And it just, the long-term effect is even greater than the short-term. Tough position to be in, but when they get lined up like that, there is not much you can do.
So unfortunate for Timothy Latham. He's going to have to really work to get back up to the front, as we have, the top 10 within a second. So it is anybody's game right now. But right now, it's all in Austin Reedy's hands as he is under attack right now from the winningest driver in SRN. That's Jake Rowell in the 9 machine. He's going to look to pull off a slide job here. He's going to send it deep into turn 1, really send it in there, and he's going to get it this time. I can already tell he's going to slide right up in front of that 1 car, and with some cushion too. Really, great job by Jake there. We got a new leader, our 3rd leader of the night, I believe, maybe 4th. I'm not exactly sure on the numbers because it has been absolutely great racing on the front. We see it back there too. Dean Brummett really trying to move up as well.
Yeah, and Jake Rowell out in front. Believe this is the first time all season. Don't recall him getting the lead in Daytona. And we got caution on the track on the front straightaway. 2 cars right in front of the line. Joshua Balliet for the 2nd time tonight is going to be one of the cars involved.
This is Kansas Speedway to a T. I'm watching pit entry on my iRacing feed, and I could hear somebody hit the wall on the exit of 4, so that's exactly what we're going to see when we check out this Beer Street Journal rec replay, but we're going to find out exactly who it was that did hit the wall, ultimately probably sending them down into somebody else that was still there inside. It is so easy to do. This exit of 4 feels so narrow, even more so than 2, and you see it here. Balliet in the 7, getting into the inside, falling into the 96 of Joe Ruggles, and Emerson Ardon there in the 57. So 2 cars, like we mentioned, no fast repairs that are going to have some significant damage on their cars and really affect their speed and, hurt their run tonight.
And this is almost exactly what happened to me on Thursday, actually. I was doing decently there around like 12th, 15th position and caught the wall, getting kind of trapped 3 wide up high. And you catch that wall at the wrong part and it just breaks you loose and snaps you right back down the track. And there's not a whole lot you can do to try to save it. It's a pretty helpless feeling there once you get here. And you can watch from Emerson Ardon. It's hard to keep up with what's going on there, but he had his vision blocked there pretty well. I thought he chose the right line going to the outside, but Balliet got shoved up high and came right back up across the track.
Yeah, before we cut away from there, I would have loved to have seen the perspective from what it looks like is the Wrangler car out there. I'm not exactly sure who's driving it, but man, they did a heck of a job to avoid those cars scattered all over the front stretch, keeping that car clean. But you see it here. We got everybody coming down pit road this time. The only car staying out there on track is Nick Owen, who I believe is a lap down and trying to get a lap back. But we're going to see who gets off here first. We see Austin Reedy coming out. He's going to be our leader, followed by Jake Rowell, Landon Lacy, and Seth Berger in the 77.
Great race off pit road, and they do a good job with iRacing and making sure that the times are pretty level. I believe it's within 1/10 of a second for everybody that on those pit stops as they go. But what does matter is your speed in, your speed off, how well you move into the pit box. If you go too far or come back too far, that will make you move in and lose a lot of time. So seeing 3 wide almost coming out of the pits for the lead, that means everybody did a pretty spot-on job getting on and off pit road.
It's funny you say that because I always feel like my pit crew is the slowest. But you're exactly right. They make it even for just about everybody out there, in case, unless you have some damage that you need to get fixed. Or like you said, you overshoot your pit stall, which, is part of the game. You can lose so many spots from just pulling in too slow or overshooting your pit stall. And right now we saw Austin Reedy have a great stop as he was able to come out in front of one of the best in the 9 car of Jake Rowell. So we are going to have quite a race on our hands with the top 5 that we have right now. Austin Reedy, Jake Rowell, Landon Lacy, Seth Berger, and Dalton Tucker.
First time we've said Dalton Tucker's name tonight, but he's quietly moved his way up through the field, starting in that 10th position, now sitting in 5th in the 73 with the number 93 on it, going with that old Petty STP looking paint scheme from, I think that's an early 2000s look more than anything. Like that one, as he'll be rounding out our top 5, and he'll have to hold off a charge from a couple of guys like James Holzer, Dean Brummett, Ryan Ducom, who have been fast all race long. They're going to be right behind him as we get on this restart.
Yeah, I'm going to have to talk to Dalton in our Rev Discord after this and really have him get that number right because, come on, man. You're just confusing us out there, Dalton. But no, great-looking car and great to see him up there running in the top 5. But let's go ahead and take a look at our season standings leader right here, the 42 of James Holzer out of Pennsylvania. He's been iRacing since April 2020, so not that long. And he was in the playoff Final 5 last year, so quite the accolades for being so new to the sim.
Yeah, making me feel like a slacker. I started a couple months later. But yeah, no, incredible talent that he has, being able to put the car out in front, really on any type of track. He's able to get out in front and really be a factor in every race. There really hasn't been one that he hasn't been, and that just shows why he was in the Championship 5 last season, why he's the points leader right now, and why he's one of the title favorites.
That's why Jake Rowell couldn't pass up on adding him to the team at Rowell Smith Racing as well. So they have quite the team put together this year and, going to be a force to be reckoned with. But right now, Austin Reedy is that force to be reckoned with, running at the number 1 car in the first place position. So, I guess it kind of coincides there. Maybe we need to look at a number change, Brandon.
Yeah, a little bit there, but with Austin Reedy leading the way as we get ready to go, he's going to pick the inside, so I think we're seeing an interesting balance. That's kind of catching my eye. I think half the time we've seen the leader start inside, half the time outside. A little curious what's going into that for everybody. I know that both have their merits, but it's interesting. I thought we'd be seeing a little bit more kind of going one way or the other, but we're seeing a pretty good mix.
Yeah, we're going to see how good a restart Landon Lacy gets there behind Austin Reedy, see if he's able to pull up inside of Jake Rowell on this restart. Like I mentioned before, this is kind of the lane you want to be in, running for about the first lap or so. As your tires are warming up, you can kind of take advantage of them running that inside line. It's really fast. But right now, Landon Lacy gets a great restart. He's going to pull out in front of Jake and not really have to work that hard to clear him. Jake's going to fall back to third, potentially fourth, as Seth Berger is to his inside now. Jake's going to fall back to fourth here. He's going to get a little bit of momentum on the exit of two, but right now the battle's for the lead up here with the one car in the 53 and Landon Lacy. See if Landon's able to clear him as he sends it deep into 3 and 4. He's going to slide up in front of him. We got a little bit of a wreck back here. Dean is able to save it and keep it on the track at the same time. We're going to have to see if we can go back, get our producer, Sean Griffith, to go back and see if we can see exactly what happened. And right now, we got battles up front. We got people wrecking and saving their cars. Landon Lacy is our new leader here at the Jayhawk 195. But right there, Jake Rowell able to get back up to where he restarted. And we got a three-way, potentially four-way battle for the lead as James Holzer is making his way up there.
What a lap of action that we just saw. 2 laps of action now as it's Austin Reedy leading that lap by, and we got trouble on the front stretch. One down onto the infield grass. No caution going to come out as it filtered off of the racing surface. So we stay green, and I'm loving that because you're seeing some great racing here. Down the back straightaway, Landon Lacy once again going to peek on the inside, see if he can get another run like he did a couple laps ago on Reedy. He will get slightly clear, but this is going to be tight if he tries to slide up, and he does, and barely had enough room to do it.
And Austin Reedy not going to like that too much. You see him give him a little shove there going down the front stretch. That car we saw on the grass, I believe, was the 36 of Kyle Spees, and now we are under caution. The 41 of Ty Cole is stopped on the track too, so I believe he is the one that is bringing out this 4th caution of the night. You see him there turned around as everybody goes by. He's got a lot of front end damage, a lot of rear end damage as well. Let's go ahead and check out another Beer Street Journal rec replay, our 4th caution of the night.
I'm surprised it took that long, as racy as everybody was, but we see it here near the back of the pack, and it's the 54 Brian O'Shell and the 41 of Ty Cole getting together, and that is a hard impact for that 41 car, and that might be something that might knock him out for the night, or at least result in some lengthy repairs. So I'm pretty sure he caught that pretty forward on the front end, and we get a better look from this aerial shot. Just a little loose, and yeah, he took that solely on the nose, and that might be an evening ender there for Ty Cole.
2 cars battling really hard, unfortunately, in the middle of the pack. But right here, we're going to get a little bit of a tighter look at it. We see a little bit of tiny bit of netco, but they were going to make contact anyway. Then you see the 60 or the 54 of Brian O'Shell just kind of hit his quarter panel there and send him straight into the wall. Like you said, it's going to be heavy damage. I imagine he's got some engine repairs as well. Really going to hurt his night. But yeah, we mentioned earlier too, the 36 just in front of this 41 kind of got sent through the grass on the front stretch as well, not bringing out a caution, and that car is still clean. So great job, Kyle Spees, able to keep going tonight. He's going to come down for a new 4 set of tires and get maybe a little bit of damage fixed if he does have some.
And leaders staying out, so we're only going to see a handful of cars make their way through, mostly those that were involved in any of those incidents that led up to that caution, as Jake Rowell will have that front spot. But looking back at that caution, one thing too is, we talk about how many options you have going down the front straightaway with that apron being there, and I think part of what happened was, I believe that O'Shell thought that Cole in the 41 he started moving down to that apron. I thought he was going to take the apron fully, and Definitely. Instead he kind of just eased into it and then stayed up on the surface, and I think that was where there was just a little confusion of what each other was going to do, and I think that led to that.
Yeah, that is one thing that Kansas does breed, and experienced it a little bit on Thursday, but you kind of feel out as the race goes on who's going to be racing where. Unfortunately for those guys, they were not probably used to racing around each other and got into it. But one of those drivers I would like to mention that came down on pit road, the 25 of Dean Brummett came down that last time. We saw him get into a little bit of trouble. He's got 4 fresh tires out there now. a little bit of fresher tires could, potentially give him a little more speed and a little more versatility as this race goes on. If they do get a long green run here, which they do have the potential to do, we saw a decent one to start, he could be one to watch. He's going to be passing a whole bunch of cars.
He could be. There's not a whole lot of laps being put on these tires for the leaders thus far since the last time that they made a pit stop, but there is a little bit on there, and there's that heat cycle, a very short one, but they have gotten those tires hot, and now they're cooling off again. So there's going to be a little bit of a benefit there. I think the bigger thing would be if we happen to have a long green run here, if we possibly get an entire fuel cycle of about 35 to 40 laps, that might play even more in the Dean's hands, where he can kind of stretch that out a little bit farther and possibly see some of those cold tires getting up to speed a little too quick. We might see cautions happen after green flag pit stops should we get to that point.
It just threw me off as I thought we were about to go back to green flag racing, but the pace car lights are still on. So let's go with a rundown through our top 10. And our leader right now, SRN's winningest driver, and our commentator on Thursdays, it's going to be Jake Rowell. And then second, Landon Lacy, an Xfinity regular, ran Cup last year with 2 wins to his name. Austin Reedy looking to get that first win in SRN. He had a great run at Charlotte last season, but unable to pull it off. He is a strong contender at mile and a halfs. James Holzer, our season leader in points after one race at Daytona, runner-up last week. He's going to be 4th. Seth Berger, he's got a lot of fans out there in chat. He's going to be running 5th right now in that beautiful 77 machine. And then Ryan Ducombe, Daytona winner last week, and Xfinity regular is going to be 6th. Kyle Benson, a newcomer to SRN, he will be 7th. Dalton Tucker, another newcomer to SRN, kind of throwing us off with that 93. He's going to be running 8th. Last season's champion, you see him up there in the 64. Scott Healy going to be 9th with your pick, Brandon. Gabriel Ellison running 10th.
Yeah, so far, based on what we saw last year from Ellison and Latham, 1st and 2nd on mile and a half averages, I guess there's a little broadcaster jinx going tonight, but not a whole one there. But, yeah, we're watching Jake Rowell taking the outside here, so I think this is going to be our 5th green flag. I believe we've seen 3 on the outside, 2 on the inside when it comes to what line the leader takes.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and that just goes to show I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to Cup cars. If Jake is taking the high side, it must mean something because he is up there as the pace car peels off. He's going to get a good jump with his teammate. That must be the case. He's got 3 team cars behind him. James Holzer and Ryan Ducombe all going to get a great jump on Landon Lacy. They're going to be your top 3 as Landon Lacy's going to try and jump in front of Scott Healy, or Kyle Benson, who's pushing Scott Healy is pushing Kyle Benson right now, and Scott Healy's going to drop down behind Landon Lacy and try and get in the top 5 as he's able to clear that 10 machine.
I was a little curious seeing that line that those 3 RMS drivers took. I was about to go somewhere else with that one. But, yeah, because they started on the outside and then immediately cut down to the inside once all 3 got clear of Landon Lacy in that 53. I thought they would have just stayed high since there's a little bit of wear on the tires. It would be easier to hold on to the grip on the outside line. But, we're really learning that there's a whole lot of flexibility. And now we got Austin Reedy sideways onto the back straightaway. He keeps it going straight. Unbelievable save by Reedy.
To keep the speed, to kind of keep up with the leaders as well, so he's not going to fall too far back. But right now we're seeing a lot of what we saw on Wednesday, Brandon, when we commentated the truck race, RMS trying to come away with max team points. And right now they are doing that with Jake Rowell, James Holzer, and Scott Healy now up to 3rd, Ryan Ducombe back to 4th, and Landon Lacy bearing down on him, running 5th.
Saw some close racing there between Landon Lacy in 5th and Kyle Benson in 6th as they were coming out of that tri-oval into the straighter part of the front stretch, moving into turn 1, almost getting together, maybe a little bit of light contact as it was a very close move to slide in front of Benson. But unbelievable that nothing happened there. It looked like Lacy got a little loose even, possibly a little shove in the back. But Jake Rowell opening up a little bit of a lead, 2/10 on James Holzer behind him.
This is the easiest view on the track. You don't have a tough time seeing the turn, but I actually wanted to go on board with Landon Lacy and see just how hard it is to run this high line as close he is behind a car like Ryan Ducombe. You really have trouble seeing the entry into turns 2 or turns 1 and 3 but this time not so much as he's going to be on the inside. But when you're lined up, you'll see it right here. It's really hard to see your marks as close as he is to these cars, but a great pass there on Ryan Ducombe. He's going to have good momentum heading down into turn 3 as he's bearing down now on the 64 machine, last season's champion, Scott Healy, looking to get his name in the mix.
Yeah, and you mentioned a bit about the vision going into the turns. That's where it really helps if you have some wall markers that you're looking at, or some kind of cues that you're looking for. Oh, a little close moment there is the 41 on the inside getting lapped. That was very close there for Jake Rowell. Probably looked closer from the angle that we had, but yeah, as they continue to lead out there. But always important to have those cues against the wall even, so you can kind of see that and know where you're going to turn in case your vision is blocked a little bit by getting right up underneath the car in front of you.
Well, let's go ahead and follow this 24 car who is stuck on the inside, like we mentioned earlier, unable to slide up in front of any of these cars. It's like the Daytona Talladega effect. You could almost think these cars were driving, as he's unable to find a hole. Landon Lacy going to slide up in front of, I believe that was Seth Berger he just slid up in front of, able to get back up on the high line, not able to actually do so as we go to the outside. He's going to slide up in front of his Rev Racing teammate, Dalton Tucker there, finally able to get up front. But yeah, Ryan Ducombe is going to start falling back here as these cars are going to be flying by him here on the outside.
And Landon Lacy trying to slide up and not able to do so, putting them 3 wide in 1 and 2. That was actually helpful for Ryan Ducombe because it slowed the momentum of cars going by him, because nobody really had a run. Those 2 cars beside him or back, and so it actually protected position a little bit. But now he's going to finally get a spot to move in front of Dalton Tucker, and that 24 car will no longer be dropping through the field as he moves up in the 7th position.
Schaefer doing a great job there on the bottom, but like we mentioned, he's eating up his tires, picking up these spots. So he's going to slide up in front of Latham. We are under caution. Scott Kalal sliding through the grass here, and a few other cars involved as well. We see Emerson Ardon spun around again, and we saw a car hit him. Not sure exactly who it was. Scott Kalal able to keep that car pretty clean. We're going to see exactly what happened here as we go back to a Beer Street Journal wreck replay. And like we mentioned earlier, please drink responsibly.
Yeah, so our next caution here, this is number 5. We ride with Scott Kalal. Looks like the 48 of Kyle Johnson got loose and just slid down, made that little bit of contact with Kalal in the 23, and that sent him down to the 57 of Emerson Ardon, and that's just a tough moment there. If you're Kalal or Ardon, there's really not anything you could have done on that one. But the 48, he may have caught the wall just a little bit. I think he just got loose mostly. And wow, that's a heavy spin there for Ardon after getting into the wall, and that's a second wreck he's been involved in. And now you're starting to believe that's going to be some very heavy damage to that 57.
And that's the toughest thing, to stay out there, keep racing. You know, you're running for as many points as you can get to potentially get in the playoffs. So a tough night for Emerson out there, but a great job by the rest of those guys as he was just spinning like crazy there on the front stretch. Everybody able to avoid him. We saw Dean Brummett and a few other big names go by as we got everybody coming down pit road again here. See if anybody stays out this time. I really doubt we will. But yeah, Jake Rowell is going to lead them down pit road.
And there's something we haven't mentioned tonight that might be starting to become a factor, and that's the new tire limit rule. That wasn't really anything to keep an eye on at Daytona with the amount that they had and how little you use the tires, but there's 7 sets of tires is the limit tonight for this race over the 130 laps at Kansas. This is the 3rd set of tires going on. For some, it's the 4th set of tires. We're not even at halfway yet, so that might be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, something else to keep an eye on. We did have a few people stay out this time. John Doc Holliday being one of them. He's going to be our new leader as Jake Rowell beats everybody off pit road, followed by Bo Brady with a great pit stop coming out just behind him. But yeah, John Doc Holliday in that beautiful number 2 car is going to be our leader now, followed by an Xfinity regular and Bo Tiffany in that 01 machine, and then a truck regular, the 18 of Bobby Anderson. So some guys with nothing to lose deciding to stay out, see if they can maybe get in the mix here and maybe get a lucky caution or two while they get some track position.
Yeah, interesting play here for Holiday and Tiffany, and well, less so for Holiday, who might be trying to get that point for leading a lap, and now he's making his stop. All three are going to do so. Looks like they're also going to have Mike Lewis going in as well. He was that fourth car in line, making the stop. And so Jake Rowell will resume the lead, or regain the lead, and it's going to be Bo Brady going to be sitting in the second position. I think he took 2 tires because it's hard to believe that he gained 9 spots. He was 11th going into the pits. Hard to believe that he would have gained 9 spots, taking 4.
Yeah, he had a 7.9 second pit stop, so that's definitely what he did. Always a risk to take too, but with the trend of this race so far, like we see it there, 5th caution of the night, only on lap 55, they have about 10 lap runs each time. Not a bad call by Bo Brady to potentially get up there. He started 19th, now looking just restarting on the front row next to one of the best in SRN, so we'll see how it works out for him. Didn't really work out as we saw Byron Mcdonald earlier in the race just get blown by in the first turn. But hey, it's a move worth making right now in Bo Brady's eyes.
Yeah, and for Brady, I believe that makes him the second highest gainer tonight thus far, starting 19th, now running in the second position. I believe the only one that has gained more positions is Raul Meza, who's running 11th. He started 38th, so gaining 27 spots for Meza, and that number 37 car, unbelievable job for him tonight. Byron McDonald is another one that's gained a lot of positions, started 34th up to 16th.
Yeah, and I don't want to take anything away from Scott Haley, who's restarting this restart third. He started 17th, so that just goes to show the strength that he has. Man, he built so much confidence last year. Me and Scott talked quite a bit on his progress during the season. He's a really great guy who really just wants to be the best he can be, and it showed last year as he came away with the championship in the Cup Series, and he's already getting back to work here in Season 2 of 2021. And restarting right behind his teammate. It's going to be the same thing that we saw last time. Jake Rowell's going to have 3 or 2 other team cars behind him.
And I think that's starting to make sense when we look at the unpredictability of where the leader is trying to restart every time. I think for Rowell, with his team cars being right behind him, that makes a whole lot more sense. Started on the outside when he had team cars 3rd and 5th, starts on the inside, or excuse me, 4th and 6th, starts on the inside when he has them 3rd and 5th. That's a smart move. I'm still curious to see what anybody is going to take if we get a late restart.
Yeah, so we're going to see just how good a restart they get and just how good a restart Bo Brady gets on those 2 tires, and hopefully he doesn't spin and really check up the field. But we're about to find out as the pace car peels off. Jake's going to go real early, and his teammates are going to come with him. Scott Haley's going to get a good restart. He's going to clear the 19 now. The 42 of James Holzer to his inside, and by the time they get to turn 1, James is going to be cleared. Following Kyle Benson going to come down to the inside of Bo Brady too. He's already fallen back to 5th.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a sign that now going forward, 2 tires is not going to be the answer for anybody if there's a late pit stop in the second half of this race, because you can see the absolute difference there. Brady now already 8 tenths and growing farther and farther back from the lead as Ryan Ducombe got loose. He nearly took it to pit road making that save, but he's going to keep it going straight but might fall out of the top 10.
So the first non-RSM car, I told you it's going to take me a few races to get used to this, is going to be Kyle Benson out of Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing. He's going to try and break up this party up front. Right now, like I mentioned earlier, the Cup Series drivers are going to be trying to make max team points like we saw their truck team do earlier in this week. They are loving these races at Kansas Speedway.
Well, you talk about RMS with Rowell Motorsports. How about the abbreviation for MRSRR, Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing? So us getting used to some things there, including 5-letter abbreviations now, as that MRSRR car is making the move towards the inside, taking a peek, going against side by side against James Holzer. He's going to get back in line, though. We're starting to see single file really for the deepest that we've seen this thus far since the start of the race.
vote now that we just throw that out of the of the consideration right now, and we just call them Murray, Reedy, Smith Pro Racing. I just feel like that's easier. But right now, somebody making it look easy. That fifth place car, he's in the 93 out there on track, but really the 73 of Dalton Tucker. I mentioned his name earlier. He is one of the best I've seen out here, and if he can get a long green run, he might be a problem for these RMS cars, as well as Kyle Benson. He's looking at making a move to the inside right now. And then we see Seth Berger getting back up into the mix as well. So RMS is going to have their hands full within a couple of laps as these guys are starting to get, a rhythm down as we may have a green flag run going.
And checking back in with Bo Brady, you see his name on the left. He just fell out of the top 10, about 3 seconds back. So it's 3 seconds over a span of about 5 laps that was lost by going on those 2 tires. So that's something to keep in mind going forward. But great racing here as Benson looks to the inside of Berger. And it's going to be Benson moving back into that fourth of the little side-by-side as they make their way through some lap traffic as they get around Ty Cole on the inside. And his damaged vehicle, I believe that was Emerson Ardon already that they passed just a moment before that. But there it is again, that high line just being very potent and keeping Benson from progressing through the field. He's going to start sliding back a couple more spots.
Excited to see just what Reese Schaefer brings to SRN this year as he has come up from nowhere. It seems like he restarted 16th, and we are back under yellow for our 6th caution. Yeah.
Big trouble up front. I saw Kyle Spees get involved in this. Joe Ruggles, it looked like Kyle Johnson involved. I counted about 6-7 cars on the tri-oval that might have had some damage in this one.
Yeah, Kyle Johnson's car not looking too bad, but we're going to have to really figure out exactly what happened already under our 6th caution of the night. Beer Street Journal getting their money's worth tonight as we take another rec replay. Drink responsibly as always, guys. But yeah, please check them out at beerstreetjournal.com. But right here, we're going to go on board with Kyle Johnson here. If you see Bo Brady falling way back, he's in this mix here as he started rechecking. Kyle Spees got spun by Ryan Ducombe up there, and then Kyle Johnson gets a little bit of netcode from Byron McDonald. We had chaos all over the track crossing the stripe there.
And that's that tri-oval apron just wreaking havoc as you see the 57 of Emerson Ardon getting passed and slowed. And I think that kind of threw some people off. You saw John Honeycutt kind of start moving to the apron, but didn't really do it. I think that's similar to what we saw earlier on our, I believe it was our 4th caution of the night, where just people did not know where the other was going to go. And that is the perilous part of this apron. It's a fast option, but not everybody uses it because it does lead to a little instability of the car. So not everybody trusts that. And if you expect somebody to use it and they don't, you're going to run along that line, and that's where that contact happens. And a lot of cars got caught up in this one.
A lot of good cars at that. We're going to see most likely Ryan Ducombe be at fault here as the cause caution rule in full effect tonight. We're going to try and figure out if he does get a EOL penalty for that move we just saw there. But unfortunately for Kyle Spees, he's going to have a little bit of damage to his rear. Not exactly sure how flush he hit that wall, but definitely got turned. Front end looks okay, but definitely not going to be a car to contend for the win with tonight. But one we see up here up front right now, Jake Rowell is in contention to get his 9th career win in SRN, and seeing if anybody else has anything for him in this Jayhawk 195.
Yeah, and especially if he can get the team cars near him again. And oh, by the way, look at who's around him, as we have Scott Healy in the 64, James Holzer in the 42. Get the team cars near you, and that's going to be a dangerous combination there. But a name that we brought up a little bit earlier, and you were talking about, is Reese Schaefer, sitting in that 7th position. He is just not going away. Had a great performance at Daytona for much of that race, and here he is once again flirting with the top 5 finish.
I'm going to see if I can put my producer to work real quick, see if we can bring Reese Schaefer up here in the booth. I would love to be able to talk to him and see exactly how he is doing this tonight. He has had a great run for Tank Racing, who is our team leader in the team standings. So we're going to see if we can get him up here in the booth. Sean is trying diligently, so bear with us. Not an easy task to do. Here we go. We got him in the booth. Reese Schaefer, it's Greg Olenik and Brandon Domain up in the booth. You're having a great run tonight, bud. Tell us about it.
Yeah, trying to get the car to stick on the inside here. We started about mid-pack tonight and got up to about 7th and 6th, and then I accidentally missed my box and went all the way back to the back, but was able to crawl back, got through the wrecks, stay alive, and now we're back in 7th, so just hope we can stay alive and try to get here to the end.
And really, just following up that momentum from Daytona, we were just saying about how great you did last week. Here you are once again, just quietly moving your way up through the field, and here you are sitting in the 7th position, making the jump over to SRN, just starting. How you liking the league with the way it's playing out for you thus far?
Yeah, it's going pretty well so far. Hopefully we can, keep staying consistent and keep staying near the front because, old buddy once told me when you're near the front, good things tend to happen, so keep staying up here and see if we can get it done.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to send you back down to your team as we're about to go 1 to go to green. Reese, best of luck tonight. We'll see if we're talking to you a little bit later on.
Yep, appreciate it, guys. See ya.
Well, there you had it right there in the 17 Healthcare Billing Incorporated Ford Mustang. Doing a great job for his tank racing team, working his way up to the front. One of our newcomers to the league, so we love talking to all the new guys here, getting to know them, and we'll see if he has anything for our current leader right now, Jake Rowell. A little bit surprised by this here as he's taking the outside. I think he's going to be working with his teammate there, Scott Healy, to maybe drop down in front of him and potentially get those 3 RSR cars out front again as James Holter is restarting 3rd.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're going to be seeing there. Since he's going to control that restart, he'll probably have this little bit of a jump and be able to get out in front. So that makes a lot more sense than him taking the inside and trying to get Scott Healy between him and the 42. So again, team strategy playing dividends here with getting those multiple cars for Rowell Motorsports out in front.
Yeah, well, a name we saw drop back a little bit, Timothy Latham, already starting to work his way back up. He's going to restart 7th this time, 4th on that inside line. And a newcomer to the top 10, Chris Lawrence in the 99 machine is going to be restarting 10th, so having a great run tonight with his teammate of Gabriel Ellison just to his outside. So Rev Racing looking to build on this as we are just over halfway through this race. And Jake Rowell, we're going to see him restart here, drop down below Scott Healy. He's going to have to wait till that top or that start-finish line to really get in front of him. You see him there now. They all get in a line, but Seth Berger is going to be to the outside of James Holter. He's going to have to really pin him down here in the turn. Otherwise, James Holter is going to have enough room to clear up in front of that 77, which he does not right now.
Oh, that worked out perfectly. It took a little bit longer than I think they might have wanted to, and that's going to leave Holzer side by side with Berger for another turn. But that strategy did work out exactly how they would have wanted it to, getting those 3 RMS cars out in front and single file once again as Holzer does clear Berger for 3rd.
You just see how scattered this gets for the field. It's just all over the place, and you got people going down to the apron. It is just a fun track to be out there, so they're having a blast. All these cars keeping it clean and having a look at Jake Rowell as he is the leader right now on lap 69.
And as they get single file, one thing I do want to update, there was no EOL penalty for the caused caution for anybody, so Ducom in the 24 not penalized there. It looks like they're just going to say that was a racing incident and not anticipating the move and the line that was going to be taken. He did make a pit stop, though, so it does kind of work out where he did fall back to 24th on that restart.
Yeah, Ryan Ducom, a great driver in his own right, so definitely nothing malicious on his own part. So good call by the admins. But right now, we just talked to him. The man on the move is Reese Schaefer. He's already up to 5th, trying to make a move on Seth Berger, his teammate out of Tank Racing. So Tank Racing trying to build on that first place standings tonight, trying to get back up there to RSM. Or RMS. I mean, I'm all messed up. Jake, you're gonna have to bear with me as I get used to these new initials. But we are back under yellow for our 7th caution of the night. Mike Lewis, 3rd around on the front stretch.
Looks to be a single car, though I do see Nick Gowen moving by pretty slowly. Not sure if he got caught up as he's several laps down after an earlier incident. But we once again get to see the Beer Street Journal wreck replay. And we'll see what happens here. That got the 05 turned around. You see a little bit of a blink out there for Nick Gowen in the 88. Happens once again, and I think that's going to be a big factor in that, is seeing cars blinking out and making that contact. That's a tough spot to be in with those servers just not wanting to see each other there.
So unfortunate for both those drivers. Already having a tough night, but we're going to take another look at it here from just above Mike Lewis's 05 machine here. Like you just keep mentioning it there, like you just expect these cars to be down on the apron, and sometimes they're not. You know, I was not cutting the apron on Thursday, and some people were. That's just something that you need a spotter in the booth for to really help you out with. But unfortunately, right there, Nick Owen didn't know he was right there, kind of taking him out in the process. But we're going to see a little bit of a mixed bag here, some trickery. Not sure if Dalton Tucker got back up in time. Might be a commitment cone violation for him there. But some cars going down into pit road. We got about 10 on pit road right now as more people in the back opting to do so. But that tire limit that we have here in SRN this year definitely playing factor into whether people want to come down or not right now.
Yeah, and that's going to be a tough situation for Tucker. If he's going to get penalized, that would be a drive-through penalty once we go back green if he did get a black flag for crossing that commitment cone.
Well, let's go ahead and bring up our fourth place driver right now, another tank racing driver. They're having a great run tonight. Seth Berger has some fans out there in the chat. Seth, it's Greg Olenik and Brandon Domingue in the booth. Having a great run tonight, bud. Tell us about your race so far.
Oh, it's definitely been a little stressful, man, with this aero package. It's honestly super speedway racing at this point. But yeah, man, these restarts have been crazy. I'm not a fan of restarts just because of the crazy moves you got to make to stay up front, but you got to do what you got to do to stay up front, you know? And, I'm super happy to be up front this far. I mean, last season I wasn't even able to qualify in the top 20 most races, and I don't even think I finished in the top 10 one race. So everything right now is I'm more than pleased with how I'm performing.
Yeah, what do you think is the cause of that change there? Because, like you're saying, just the difference in performance this season. Fourth last week, you're sitting here fourth again this week. What do you put that credit to?
I think being here for the start of the season definitely helps, and having more teammates as well helps. Reese has been a major help as far as short run speed. Definitely taught me a good amount. I've always been long run, but with this car, man, it's all about the short run, honestly, and then just try to hold on from that point. But yeah, man, honestly, trying to be more confident, man. Won a championship in my other series, and I don't know if that helped y'all, but it's working right now.
Well, congratulations on that championship, and we're definitely seeing improvement out there this year. You and your teammates doing a great job for tank racing. We expect to see you doing more in the upcoming weeks, Seth, so we're going to send you back down to your team. Best of luck in these final 50 or so laps. So go get them, man.
All right, thanks. I'd like to just shout out my dad and Dan DiStagio for making this sponsorship work, and thank you to LiftWorks and Marty for sponsoring this team.
All right, buddy. Well, yeah, they're cheering you on in the chat, so go ahead and bring it home for them, man, and the LiftWorks team.
All right, thank you.
Well, there you go. We like to bring up some new guys. Like I just mentioned, Seth Berger did run with us towards the end of last season. And, you know, he's taken away a little bit of his credit as he did run pretty well towards the end of last season with his tank racing teammates, but having a great start to this season, Brandon.
Yeah, and I know we talk about that when we throw out the Kane Cook information on the pre-race show, but I think confidence does go a long, long way, and you can see it just race to race even, but long-term confidence, just, you know, he says that he gets a championship in his other league, and just having more races here, you get more comfortable, you start knowing what people are going to be doing. That does change you as a driver, and I think once you get one good finish, I think it starts to snowball as well. Could go the other way around, you get one bad finish, and all of a sudden things start backing up on you, but I think that goes a long, long way, just having that confidence.
Yeah, confidence is huge. I can definitely vouch for that. And we're seeing a lot of that come out of these new drivers and a lot of returning drivers last season. And I love seeing it as we have new people driving up towards the front. That's what it's all about, man, building on what you know and becoming better. And we're going to have some really heavy challengers this year with Rowell Motorsports, you know, so they really did well last season. We're going to have Tank Racing knocking on their door this year. It's, you know, Seth Berger, Reese Schaefer sitting both in the top 5, and their team is atop the standings. So they're going to try and get in there and throw a wrench into RMS's kind of plans right here. Is we're going to get another restart. Jake Rowell's going to slide back down in front of his teammate there in Scott Healy, and we're going to be 1, 2, 3 for Rowell Motorsports.
It sounds like we've been saying that over and over, and it's been a broken record, but it continues to work for RMS getting lined up out in front, and Seth Berger once again going to get side by side with James Holzer and try to break up that RMS train out in front. He's going to get a great push from Dalton Tucker this time, and that might be enough to stay out there and possibly get the run out of turn 4.
Yeah, we got battles all over for this lead. We're within a second for the top 10. Dalton Tucker going to try and clear Reese Schaefer here as they go down the front stretch. Seth Berger working on the outside of James Holzer for third. He's going to be able to pull that off and really start being able to bear down on the 64 of Scott Healy.
Great side-by-side racing again, and it didn't take long for us to get sorted out single file, and then we would still see some caution. So I think people are saying, you know what, let's just go for it. Side-by-side is back as we see Holzer looking to the inside of his own teammate Scott Healy. That'll be the race for second and third, and that might open up the window for Seth Berger to get a run again as he still has that push from Tucker.
Yeah, you mentioned, or you heard it from Seth Berger, this is essentially just super speedway racing at this point. The aero package of these Cup cars is just so different here, at Kansas Speedway, and they're just not able to break away from one another, which is why we are seeing Jake Rowell still be under attack. And all of these Rowell Motorsports cars be under attack for the lead. Scott Healy's doing his best to hold back Seth Berger right now, but Seth's getting a big push, like you mentioned, from Dalton Tucker this time down the front stretch.
And that might be enough to actually get both of them to clear James Holzer this time, or at least get Berger to clear him as they make their way down the backstretch. Holzer being very aggressive with that slide, going to get just in front of the nose of that 77 Mustang, and that's actually going to get Berger a little out of shape going down the back straightaway, slows him up a bit. A aggressive move, but it paid off to stay into that third position. Tucker into the wall. What a save to keep it out of spinning or getting into anybody else, including Reese Schaefer, who was the first one there. Amazing save, and we stay green.
Yeah, he didn't even lose too many spots from that, so great job by Tucker. He's already back to 10th. As we see Dean Brummett move up to 9th, we got people moving in and out of the top 10 all over the place. Dean Brummett got a huge head of steam as he flies by Landon Lacy right there. He's up to 8th, followed by David Duke, a name we haven't mentioned quite a while here. He's having a great run tonight. Bo Brady.
Oh, Ducombe.
Ryan Ducombe getting in the wall.
Man, this is becoming a once a lap occurrence out of turn number 4. So we're starting to see side-by-side and 3-wide racing be a little bit more frequent as we get inside the final 50 laps. And now we're seeing the mistakes start to build up for some of these drivers that are contenders here in the top 10.
It's so hard to really judge these cars that are running the high line. The momentum is so much greater than those cars on the bottom line that are sliding up. Right now, Rowell Motorsports doing a great job of pulling it off as they are still 1, 2, 3, followed by 2 tank racing cars.
And then they're followed by our 2 picks also in 6th and 7th with Latham and Ellison, keeping an eye on that as well. But yeah, it continues. Like we're seeing that single file now all the way back to about... Well, Dean Brummett's running in 10th, so you're looking at the top 8 cars sitting there in a single file line. Gabriel Ellison taking a peek inside the 5, and that's going to get him all scattered once again as he got out of line, and all of a sudden here comes 3 wide right behind him.
Get 4 wide with the lap car on the inside. Bo Brady get a little loose there on the apron, able to keep it together, but he's going to lose some spots in the process. We got cars all over the place, including some damaged cars. Gets right up on the bumper of Dean Brummett. And, man, what a race. And you know what, Brandon? If this thing does stay green for a little while, these guys have been out there for quite some time on these set of tires. I'm wondering if they're running out of sets, therefore forcing them to stay out. And, we could see green flag pit stops within about 15 laps, potentially.
That is possible. And if they can make it to about lap 95, I would say, they know that they're safe the rest of the way if it stays green, at least on fuel. Now, on tires, that's a different story, especially if you're trapped on the inside. The tires are going to be what you want, what is going to be a more pressing matter, I think, than the fuel at that point. So if you're able to conserve, if you're able to stay on the high line, you might be able to be all right. But if you're stuck on the inside making a lot of passes or being aggressive on those tires, that's going to be a little dicey.
Yeah, and you see a move right there by Kyle Benson to really send it down into turns 3 and 4 right there. He's going to try and do the same here in 1 and 2, slide up in front of that 77. I don't think he's going to have the space, and that's the thing you got to be careful with, is making sure, and he does slide up in front of the 77. Great move by the 10, able to move up to the 4th. Now he wants to start working on these Rowell Motorsports cars. as he takes a look to the inside of James Holzer. Did this last time with Seth Berger, sets him up for going into turn 1. He's got the nose to, pick up third right here. He's going to have enough space in front of him potentially here with the distance between Scott Healy and James Holzer to potentially slide up. You see how far in front of him he is right there. He's definitely going to be able to make a move here if he wants to. But now he could be setting up Scott Healy. Kyle Benson has some great speed on that inside line.
He's also doing something that I noticed Jake Rowell doing early in the race when he was making his charge up towards the front, and he really does it. If we can stay on this kind of a shot in 1 and 2 or going into turn 1, watch how high, or at least he did last time, we'll see if he does it again, how high he comes up the track and almost just packs the air. He doesn't do it there. But that last time by, he got very close to the 42, trying to get that side draft, packing the air into the left rear tire well, and just really kind of pulling the parachute back on that 42 car. And that's what launched him out in front so fast on that inside line. And he's done a great job of doing that, making his way through the field. That was similar to what Rowell was doing early.
There you see it. He's up to second, looking down the front stretch. We got somebody in the wall. Not sure it's going to bring out a caution on the exit of 4. But yeah, he is staring down Jake Rowell now, looking to make a move on him within the next lap or two. He is picking up some significant time on that 9 machine. He wants to go out and lead some laps for the first time in SRN at a 1.5 mile track. He is showing some great speed in that number 10 AC Delco machine.
And I'm a little surprised, honestly, because Rowell hasn't had to be... Oh, and he gets into the wall, and that is going to be huge as Jake Rowell getting some damage to the right side. That's going to let Kyle Benson take the lead, and he might be pulling away pretty quickly.
Going to be some big-time damage for the 9. He didn't just scuff the wall. He banged the wall there. He's got some significant damage to the right side of that car, and that's going to really hurt you most at Kansas Speedway. Down the straightaways, we're going to see James Holzer really gain on him here going down the backstretch. And he's going to be under attack by his teammates potentially. He might just let them go. As you see James Holzer with a full head of steam heading down the front stretch. He's going to make it look easy after Jake Rowell just led a bunch of laps here in this Jayhawk 195.
Trying to take a look at Rowell's car. Looks like the back spoiler is pretty straight, so the damage is going to be more relegated to the side of the car, and that's still going to make that 9 car just tighten up a pretty good bit. And that's going to be tough to carry some speed, especially on that high line where you really want to have that confidence. There you can see it wrinkled up behind that right rear. And that's just going to really make it where you don't know exactly what you're going to get, especially if you're up high. And if you don't know what you're going to get, it's very easy to possibly get it back into the wall another time, cause more damage. So that's just going to be a very uncomfortable feeling for Rowell behind the wheel of that 9.
Back to 5th as he's under attack from the 64 machine to Scott Healy. He's going to fall in behind him and keep 4th for just this moment. But right here, you see a few cars really, seeing that car limping through the turns. Christopher Lawrence taking a look to the inside of Seth Berger as well as Scott Healy. He wants to get up here in the mix and potentially make a move for the top 5. We see somebody coming down pit road. Not exactly sure who that is. That's Nick Goen, so he's a lap down car. But yeah, Jake Rowell is going to have his hands full with a very tight race car, as well as, shaking that confidence a little bit. That's all it takes. We get a really tight race off of turn 2 between Christopher Lawrence and Reese Schaefer. Now Timothy Latham going to really feast on that momentum that Chris Lawrence lost and going to go right on by.
Wow, got stuck 4 wide exiting 2 as they were making their way around the damaged car of Mike Lewis. And very quiet. This is the first time we've really talked about Chris Lawrence today. Had a great run at Daytona. Another one of the newcomers that just really had a solid showing. And here he is once again sitting in the top 10. But Kyle Benson, another one of those guys. Great run at Daytona. And wound up in not having the finish that he deserved, really. But he was in that top 5 picture for much of the night. And here he is now opening up a 1-second lead. And this is by far the biggest interval we've seen all night.
It's definitely one of the stronger cars out there making moves at Daytona right now, but making some great moves to get him up to the front, really put that pressure on Jake Rowell, and he just got too tight out of 4. Timothy Latham coming down pit road with David Duke. Nick Goen, we just mentioned him coming down. He's trying to get some damage fixed. Bobby Anderson also coming down pit road, so there we go. Brandon, man, we are starting to look smarter and smarter.
Yeah, well, numbers don't lie, and they can make it the rest of the way from here on fuel. I'm starting to wonder if that's going to be possible here as we're getting the field stretched out a little bit, though as I say that, there's 3 wide going down the front stretch with the Rowell on the outside, Berger on the inside, Ellison on the inside after Lawrence made a 2-for-1 pass, moving into the 5th position. He's in the top 5 for the first time tonight.
That's just the thing that made me just really not excited for Kansas. It was just how tight these cars can get running that high line, which is the line you need to run. And it's just so easy for your night to just become a headache. And you saw it there when Jake got into the outside line. He was leading this race and falling back very quickly. We got more cars coming down this time. Gabriel Ellison, Landon Lacy, as well as a few others behind them making their pit stop to get them to the end of the way. So we're seeing some Rev Racing cars come down this time.
Definitely feels like a team strategy there on this one for most of the Revs guys, but it's continuing to be Kyle Benson out in front. He's actually opened up that lead another 0.3 since we last checked in a couple laps ago. So a lot of speed inside that 10 car as we get close to what would have to be his green flag pit stop coming up here in probably the next handful of laps.
Yeah, he doesn't want to stay out too much longer than those cars directly behind him. Ryan Ducombe coming down this time as well. So he's going to be paying attention to each one of these cars and figuring out when they're going to come down. But right now, he's got a nice little gap of 1.1 seconds back to Austin Reedy, running a great race so far. Made those aggressive moves to get him up to the front. Now he is in charge of this Jayhawk 195. Nobody going down pit road that time.
And we've only seen a couple of the drivers inside the top 10 a few laps ago make that pit stop. They're going to be about a second faster a lap than anybody that's still staying out there. Of course, that's going to be washed away later in the run because the tire fall off is just going to come up at different points for those staying out now. But it's going to be a significant advantage at this point, so we'll have to see how that undercut plays in as we're starting to hear a few more drivers start announcing that they're going to be making their pit stop here this time.
And we saw Dalton Tucker coming down that last lap. We see Jake Rowell coming down this time, followed by Scott Kalal, John Doc Holliday. I believe that is the 50 machine of John Honeycutt coming down with them as well. So, yeah, about 4 or 5 cars a lap. I'm surprised there's not more coming down each lap. But, yeah, this is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see green flag pit stops kind of shake this race up. That's exactly what we are getting as they are making their last stop potentially for the night unless we see a caution. But right now, Austin Reedy's starting to make up a little bit of time on Kyle Benson.
And one thing we should note, it was lap 72 the last time these guys made their pit stop. So you can go about 35, 40 laps. 112 would be stretching it, I think. There has been a caution there, obviously, to add a little bit. But I would say sometime, Personally, I would think here in the next couple laps they would need to come in just because of the way that this is all playing out. But with the run that the 10 of Benson and the 1 of Reedy are getting right now, maybe they just try to run it the rest of the way until they have to pit and just try not to break up that momentum and the rhythm that they have.
Well, Tank Racing coming down this time. Seth Berger and Reese Schaefer, those 2 cars that were running towards the top 5, coming down together. So it is very super speedway-esque, as we heard a few drivers mention teams coming down at the same time down pit road. And I have to imagine, you can't stay out there too long now that we are seeing guys that were running towards the front of the pack starting to come down. We see James Holzer, Kyle Benson down on the apron. Our leader is on pit road.
Yeah, Benson in, Holzer in. It's also going to be Scott Healy making his pit stop. So 3 of the top 5 drivers onto pit road this time by. That's going to leave Austin Reedy, one of the handful, still out on this set of tires since the last pit stop 30 laps ago. And I would think this is going to be something where he decides, all right, now it's time to come in. I can't be the only one out there out of that lead group.
Yeah, he wouldn't be running the bottom line otherwise. He's going to come down this time, trying to keep that car straight and get as much as he can on an entrance to pit road. That could really make up some time for you. Chris Lawrence coming down with him, just behind him. So, yeah, we have leaders pitting this time by. We got a new leader out there now, Bo Brady, a guy that we saw earlier take 2 tires to get up to the front. He is our leader now, followed by Bo Tiffany.
Yeah, so it's going to be Bo Brady, Bo Tiffany, and Raul Meza, your top 3 as we continue to cycle through this pit stop sequence. And there's Kyle Benson on the inside, so the leader at the time he made his pit stop will be just under or just over 1 lap behind the lead. And going to be in a little bit of traffic here, stuck 3 wide on the inside on cold tires. That's going to be a dicey feeling for Kyle Benson, but he's going to be all right as he gets it cleared of traffic, and now he's going to start moving back to get that lap back naturally, and that's not going to take a whole lot of time.
Yeah, just look at the difference here in speed. He just flies by these leaders, gets his lap back, which is huge, and you see right there, he just went by that one car of Austin Reedy, who was running second there before these pit stops happen. He's going to have a nice little gap back to that one car.
Oh, what a save by Rowell on the inside. You saw him get way loose trying to get around Bo Tiffany's 01 car, and a fantastic save as Rowell caught the apron, but that's going to put Reedy right on his back bumper.
Yeah, we got battles all over, and in the mix are cars on old tires, which is definitely stressful for these guys. The speed difference is just crazy right now as you just see them flying by. But right now, Bo Tiffany's still going to be our leader there in that beautiful 01 Winston car. And you just see these guys that were on the lead lap before and up to the front making their lap back here and making it look easy in the process. And we got somebody coming down pit road, Michael Politis coming down this time by. So still waiting on these lead cars to make their final pit stop of the night.
And they're doing the right thing, though. At this point, you're committed. Stay out there until you absolutely have to come in. You might get a caution between now and then that'll keep you in a pretty solid position, even though a handful of drivers have already gotten their lap back. Still might give a pretty solid position gain if that caution does come out here pretty soon.
Yeah, nothing to lose for these guys. Bo Tiffany is an Xfinity Series regular. He's just running up this week because he loves Kansas, and he's trying to make something happen, and he's doing so right now. If he can get that caution to come out, he will be in a prime position to pick up some significant track position. As the leaders that have pitted already have about 5-6 laps on their tires already, so we'll see exactly what happens here. He's going to probably stay out again right now as Timothy Latham making a move to the inside. He's not going to really have a lane to go down the pits. Christopher Lawrence coming fast. Scott Kowal also making a move here to the inside of Bo Tiffany.
And that's the tough part, but thankfully with iRacing we have the driver chat where you can make the signals a little bit more obvious that you're going to be coming in and make that announcement that you're going to hopefully get down to the inside and have that little bit of space. A whole lot easier than it is in real life racing where you're just hoping that spotters can communicate or hand signals are going to be picked up well enough.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Once this thing cycles out, I'm curious to see if Landon Lacy will be our leader right now. You see him there sitting in 6th. Just 22 seconds behind the leader. He's sitting in front of Gabriel Ellison, Dean Brummett, James Holzer, and Kyle Benson, who was our leader before this round of pit stops. So not exactly sure if he pitted early to get out in front or if we just have 2 tires going on. But right now, this lineup's getting a little shaken up.
And this is exactly what we were talking about when we mentioned the undercut and the speed difference there when you come in as opposed to people staying out. And that's what's playing out here with Holzer now taking the lead on Lacy. Lacy has a little bit more wear on those tires at this point as he had a few more laps on him before Holzer, but you do lose about 1/10 of a second a lap for the first 15 laps or so until the tires start to level off a good bit, but that difference is going to pick up there, and that's what you saw with Lacy being out in front. He had that head start there by about 4 or 5 laps.
Yeah, they're starting to make their way up towards the front of the pack. James Holzer going to be under attack from Kyle Benson here shortly. They are on the same, they pitted on the same lap, so not much tire difference there. So James Holzer might be sitting in a pretty position right now. And we're going to have to see if Kyle Benson can save his stuff to the end, maybe to pick up some speed to get by that 42. But once this thing cycles through, James Holzer will be our leader. Right now, Bo Tiffany not showing any signs of coming down pit road.
And by the way, you know how I know the intensity's starting to pick up in this race and we're starting to get pretty close? The driver chat. There has been a whole lot of chatter on there, especially the last couple laps, just with drivers making their way around lap traffic or drivers that are staying out on older tires. And there's been a lot of talking on there and a lot of frustration, it sounds like, that we're going by. A couple laps ago, it's Reedy and Schaefer get together. They do a great job keeping that straight, and Scott Healy was about to abort all the way towards the wall thinking something was coming.
Yeah, it definitely looked like something was coming, but right now, Austin Reedy able to slide up in front of the 17 of Reese Shaver. Really surprised to see how far that one has dropped back. Right now, we could see Bo Tiffany come down this time. He's looking to the inside. Nope, he is going to stay out there and remain our leader here in the Jayhawk 195, taking a stripe with 18 laps to go.
And it really just kind of, and I don't want to say it negatively, but you can look a little bit past the top 4. They still need to make a pit stop. So the leader at this point, and I think Holzer just kind of, his name just dropped off there. But it should be Holzer in the 42. There it is. And then you have Benson, Lacy, Ellison, and Brummett. They're going to be the top 5 once we cycle through this. But again, if a caution shows up, it changes everything.
Absolutely. So that is definitely within the possibilities of what could happen tonight, as we've seen 7 cautions tonight. Bo Tiffany making that pit stop to get into the end of the race. Jeffrey Vickery, also one of those cars that was in the top 4, coming down the pits as well. So we got 2 cars left out there with Kyle Johnson and Mabry in the 15 car. That is all that is left to finish this cycle of green flag pit stops. And just behind them, 10 seconds back, James Holzer will take over the lead, followed closely by Kyle Benson.
And I believe these two have to come in, and here comes the 48 of Kyle Johnson. I think Brian Mabry, if he did come in on lap 72, I don't quite have that on him, so he should be coming here pretty quickly, and just got that confirmation from Sean, our producer tonight, just saying, yep, he did. So that's got to be happening here probably this lap. I can't see him pushing it much farther.
48 of Kyle Johnson, missed pit entrance, really going to mess up his race. He was going to be really far back anyway. He was going to be a lap down, and that's just going to set him back even further. But yeah, like you mentioned, Mabry going to be out there, the last car on this cycle of green flag pit stops, yet to make a stop. And James Holzer, we see Mabry coming down this time. James Holzer is going to take that lead and be our leader with 15 laps to go. You see the race here for the lead. Kyle Benson is so close.
And all of a sudden, we're right back to tight racing here with our top 2. Austin Reedy about 3 seconds back. And Kyle Johnson does get to pit road, by the way. I was curious about that, if he would have enough fuel to make it. So he does. That's one way that we will avoid a caution, as Holzer continuing to lead by about 0.3.
Really surprised to see how far back Austin Reedy fell. He has the freshest tires out there on the track, pitting the latest out of the leaders, but that just goes to show you, like you mentioned, that time differential that just all one lap can make. And they really got a lead out there. But yeah, this is the battle right now. Quite a battle here for what I believe is 7th place. Gabriel Ellison and Reese Schaefer going at it right here. And man, if a caution was to come out, not to curse or make a broadcaster's curse or anything, we would have such a great battle for the lead. But still, nonetheless, Kyle Benson 0.3 off of James Holzer. That is going to be our battle right now for the top spot.
Yeah, and you mentioned the time drop there for Austin Reedy. Yeah, he was the last one to come in. He's got the freshest tires, but he also had a couple dicey moments there of getting caught in traffic and having to save it after that contact that he had with Reese Schaefer a few laps ago. I think that's where that time drop-off really hit. But there was that slight bit that can go to the undercut as well, because there was one lap where Benson was going to be about a second and a half faster. So that, I think, is where part of it comes in. I think it's a combination of both.
Absolutely. So, yeah, right here, quite a battle for the 5th place position. Seth Berger wanting to make 2 top 5s to start the season. He's got quite a battle on his hands. In front of him, the 53 of Landon Lacy, 2-time Cup Series winner last year. He's running down the Xfinity Series this year, but, he knows these Cup cars pretty well.
Yeah, a lot of experience in these Cup cars, and to be able to just move up and like going from Xfinity to Cup is quite a drastic difference in just the way that they handle. So to be able to be running out in front in both at this track just shows the talent behind the wheel there of that 53.
Yeah, you saw Seth slide up in front of the 53 out of 4. Landon able to get back in front of him heading into turn 1. Seth's going to look to do the same thing again on the exit of 2. Not going to be clear. Landon Lacy's going to have a full head of steam heading down the backstretch going into 3. Seth's going to look to do the same thing he did last lap, try to clear the 53 on the exit of 4. Still not going to have the room to do so, and this battle is going to be over before we know it. And Landon Lacy going to be able to peel down in front of him, really get a good stretch, maybe 1 or 2 car gap heading into turn 1. Now Seth's going to have his teammate Reese Schaefer bearing down on him heading into turn 1.
It's starting to get spread out a little bit again here after seeing a lot of side-by-side and pack racing as we get to the final 10 laps. And this race has really been a story of two different races. The first half of the race, we saw about 7 cautions, and it took quite some time. The second half of the race, it has just gone by in a blink, as we're now down to 9 laps to go already.
Yeah, this has been a great green flag run that these guys have been running on here, about 50 laps or so. I think the last time we were yellow was lap 75, so doing a great run to the end here as we were a little bit caution prone to start this race, but nonetheless, they have settled down and got to it here at Kansas Speedway for this Jayhawk 195 right now. James Holzer stretching that gap out to 7/10, trying to make it 8/10 over Kyle Benson.
Yeah, and this lead, it's going to be tough. He's starting to get to the point where the draft is not going to be able to pull Benson in as much. So I really think it's going to have to be something where either Holzer makes a mistake or he did come in a little bit earlier, I think 2 laps earlier than Benson, if I recall correctly. I don't think that's going to be enough of a tire wear difference, but it's possible. And we also saw that Benson was really good on the late run. So maybe in these last few laps, he kind of finds that groove again late in the run once again and moves back out in front.
To see is he's not really stretching that gap on him anymore. Kyle's trying to close the gap a little bit. You see it ticking away 100th at a time. He's going to need a little more to get to James Holzer, and then he's going to need a little more to get past James Holzer. But you see it, that gap is shrinking just a tiny bit lap by lap. James Holzer sends it really deep into that turn, able to get some good speed, but Kyle Benson going to try and get the momentum out of 4 and not really able to close the gap that lap. We are down to 6 laps to go. We got people down in the grass on the front stretch. That was Dean Brummett,
yeah, see him slow going down the front straightaway. No caution out on the track, and I got flashbacks to me going through the grass late in the race on Thursday, making sure that thing stayed green, trying not to spin it back onto the track. But yeah, as Holzer, that's the best thing that he's seen, is that green flag stays out there, and he works with Bo Tiffany, who's on significantly fresher tires, and Tiffany will move around him. So not often you see a lapped car go straight by the race leader like that, but it's about a 15 lap difference on those tires, so they were in communication with each other, and Bo made sure he gave a lot of space to Holzer as the leader.
He definitely is using that draft a little bit to stretch that gap out. But yeah, Brandon, I just want to thank you for not bringing out that caution towards the end of the race. Really appreciate it. But yeah, it's so easy to do, get into the wall at the end of these races because you're just pushing to get any spot you can get and really pushing that car, and it just makes it so tight. But we're down to 4 laps to go. James Holzer not showing any signs of a tight race car. He's really doing a great job on that high line. Finished second last week at Daytona, pushing his teammate down in the Xfinity Series, Ryan Ducombe, to the win. He's trying to get his win this week at Kansas Motor Speedway, coming off of turn 4. We're going to be down to 3 laps to go.
And we're really holding steady throughout the top 10 at this point as well. Now that Brummett's gotten it straightened back out and back up to speed, there really hasn't been any side-by-side racing, though. As I say that, here comes Chris Lawrence taking a look to the inside of Jake Rowell. That's not going to get him anywhere, though. Rowell had that high line. But we're really seeing it spread out here throughout the top 10, or at least the top 9, I should say, as there's not a whole lot of threat of any passing going on with 3 to go.
It just goes to show you that damage, how much it impacted Jake Rowell, who was dominating this race for a good portion. He's down here fighting for a top 10, as you know, Chris Lawrence trying to make a move on him to get that top 10 position, but we are down to 2 laps to go. James Holzer hoping to get back to the stripe to see that white flag before any type of yellow flag comes out, because that will shake everything up.
And he's got about 3/4 of a mile. If he gets to the white flag, that will do it. If a caution were to come out, it would be fine. We would just go straight to the checker at that point. But Holzer making his way through 3 and 4. White flag in the air. If he crosses the line, caution will not be a factor. And Holzer takes the white flag.
Yeah, next flag will end this race. We are down to 1 lap to go here at the Jayhawk 195. All he's got to do is get through 1 and 2 cleanly and get back through 3 and 4. it's always, I decided to run the below line when I was in this position last week on 3 and 4 just to be safe. So we'll see what he does here. He's going to keep it to the high side as he's got a lap car trying to get by him there. That's Mabry in the 15 getting his lap back before the end of this race. And James Holzer is going to come off at turn 4 and be the winner of tonight's Jayhawk 195 for Rowell Motorsports. Kyle Benson going to be second. Austin Reedy going to bring home third.
Yeah, great showing for both those teams, Murray Reedy Smith Racing and Rowell Motorsports. They make up our top 4. Landon Lacy going to round out the top 5. There's that Reese Schaefer name again sitting there in that 6th position. So we had a lot of good showings for guys that either needed them after a rough night, a rough finish at Daytona. And a couple of these guys, including James Holtz, are backing up a solid start to the season and doing it again here tonight.
He is going to be the points leader heading into week 3. I can guarantee you on that. He's going to have a nice little gap back to second, but a great race by the 42 machine. We're going to see him celebrating here with his teammates. But like you mentioned, man, a great race by some of the new guys on board here this year. Kyle Benson finished in 6th. Reese Schaefer there, Kyle Benson finished in 2nd. Reese Schaefer there in 6th. And, a lot of names we're used to seeing there back up to the front, which is where we're used to seeing them. So a good mix of talent here in the Cup Series this year.
Yeah, and then as we watch the celebration continue, just a great showing here for a lot of guys. And I got a little distracted there listening to the driver chat. I apologize. Heard a 1,000th of a second finish for 19th and 20th. That edge goes to Bo Brady over Byron McDonald. Not often you hear that number. That completely caught me off guard and stole my attention. I apologize.
Oh, we got battles, like we said, all over the place. But let's go ahead and give you our finishing lineup tonight. You see him there doing his Polish victory lap with the team owner, Jake Rowell. James Holzer is going to be our winner tonight for Rowell Motorsports. Kyle Benson, second. Austin Reedy, another Murray Reedy Smith road racing car, coming home in third. Last season's champion, Scott Haley, coming home fourth, with Landon Lacy rounding out the top 5.
And then we'll have Reese Schaefer, the highest tank racing driver, finishing in 6th. Gabriel Ellison in 7th place. Seth Berger, also out of tank racing, will be in 8th. And then Rowell teammates Dean Brummett and Jake Rowell round out the top 10.
Chris Lawrence, a newcomer to the series this year, going to be in 11th. Ryan Ducombe, last week's winner at Daytona, is going to be 12th. Dalton Tucker going to be 13th. Scott Kalal out of Rev Racing going to be 14th, with David Duke having a great night in 15th.
And then we had Doc Holliday being our 16th place finisher and the third highest of the independents. Raul Meza will be the highest striker finisher in 17th. John Honeycutt out of Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing in 18th. And then that 1,000th of a second difference, Bo Brady in 19th. Byron McDonald rounding out our top 20.
Well, there you have it. A great race at Kansas Speedway for the Jayhawk 195. Let's go ahead and get that number 1 machine of Austin Reedy up here in the booth. He finished 3rd tonight. Great run last season as well in the playoffs. Austin Reedy, congrats on the 3rd place finish. Tell us about your race tonight.
We were pretty good tonight. The More Than a Cape car was up front for most of the race. We had a small incident, I think, early. We were 3 wide, and we kind of came down on, so we had a little bit of damage from that, but rebounded, made a call with Kyle to go take tires, and restarted back on the field and drove back up there and finished pretty well.
And one thing I was curious about as that race played out, it really felt like we had 2 different races where the first half, a lot of cautions, a lot of short runs, and then you had that long run. Was that something that you were thinking might happen there, that long run near the end as cars started dropping out? And also, how did that change any plans for you there, getting used to the short runs and then going into the long?
Well, I know I practiced the long runs a lot, and the short runs here, I know everybody did not want to see them because it's treacherous. I mean, we're going 2-3 wide for about 10 laps, and one mistake and your race is over. So that first half was basically about survivability and just getting through it. But Kansas, I mean, you get through that first 10 laps, and it's going to turn into a long run race. So, but I was prepared. Kyle was prepared for it, and finished out good.
Yeah, great run by you and your teammate Kyle tonight, but let's go ahead and get to any thank yous, love yous you have, and you got some new sponsors on board this season. Let's go ahead and hear them.
Yeah, we got TJ's Team by More Than a Cape. It's a charity foundation for kids. with pancreatic or pediatric cancer. I think I said that right. All my winnings this season will be going to morethanAcape.org. Yeah, proud to have them on here. We got a new team going. Love these guys. We just today brought in a couple of new guys, kind of partnering with Jacob Smith and Brian Smith to start up some new team and collaboration. So it's exciting.
Great showing for your first race with your new teammates, and we expect to see you doing great things down the future as well. You had a great run last season, and just starting right off where you left. So great run tonight, Austin, and awesome cause, man, that you're doing as well.
Yep, thank you, boys.
All right, man, have a good night.
You too.
There you have it, man. Kyle, or Austin Reedy, sorry, getting to his teammate next. Austin Reedy coming home in third and doing it for a good cause, too. So go ahead and check them out if you have the chance to. I love it when these drivers are very selfless and, donate their winnings to a charity. So appreciate Austin for doing that. But let's go ahead and get our second place finisher, our runner-up tonight, Kyle Benson, a newcomer to SRN this year for Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing. Kyle, this is Greg Olenik and Brandon Domingue up in the booth. Congrats on the second. Tell us about your race tonight.
Oh, man. That was definitely a treat. Second race ever in SRN was definitely put all out on the silver platter. So, had a great time. The first 60 laps were just the white knuckle and make sure you weren't getting hit and all that stuff. Because it's like pack racing. This package is just pack racing, especially at night. So, I had a good time. Car was really good when I got freshies on it, and I think that kind of put me in the position that I am now. I probably couldn't have gotten a second or third, or maybe even I could have won tonight without the tire strategy I tried to pull with a few of the guys. So, it's just that you get behind somebody, it gets tight, and you're just battling that all night.
And the one thing I was curious about with your run there, late we had the long run, and then we had to go into the deciding of when you were going to get those tires. And being the leader, you were actually one of the later ones to make the pit stop out of the lead group at that point. What went into that decision on just staying out there a little bit longer as we started seeing some of the guys in the top 10, top 5 starting to pit a couple laps earlier?
I was kind of hoping for maybe a caution, just so I can pin some of the guys a lap down. So just over time, it gets rid of a lot of the people that I don't have to. Not trying to be mean, it's just about to deal with them at the end of the race. So I was kind of hoping for it to run a little shorter, but it's just how the cars fell. I heard that the guy was pinned behind me, so I just made a quick decision, come down pit road, and just trying to. The overcut wasn't going to be as effective. Unless you were, if everybody else pitted 15 laps before you, or 15 laps, So, I kind of just wanted to make sure. My original one was going to stop at 105, and then I saw that James went in, and I was like, alright, well, here we go. I was kind of making sure I had the best car for about 20-25 laps.
Well, great strategy nonetheless to get second place this week. You ran really well at Daytona last week. Is this something we should get used to seeing? Are we going to see you up front a lot this season in SRN?
We'll have to see about that. The Daytona kind of still stings a little bit. I think I had a chance of winning there, and I like to hope, man. I like to hope I can talk to you guys a lot more over the season. So I like to think that I'm a good threat. Threatened for what? I have no idea.
Well, let's go ahead and hear what sponsors, any friends or family you'd like to go ahead and give a shout out to.
I'd like to shout out Tyler Murray and Austin Reedy. Great bunch of group of guys making this team together. And I'd like to thank Jacob Smith and Brian Smith for coming on for this season. Just those are they're absolute. Just they're good. And we needed that, and I think that helped us push a little harder, and it's going to make us a lot better over the season and let the season come to us. But yeah, that's about it. I don't really got any sponsors, so
all right. Well, yeah, man. Nothing wrong with that, man. But great showing by you and your teammates tonight. We're excited to see what you guys can do and build on those team standings down the road as we go to Dover next week. But we're going to go set you back down to your teammates, and have a good night tonight, Kyle.
Thank you.
There you have it. That was our runner-up tonight, Brandon, for our Jayhawk 195, a newcomer to SRN. But someone that is not a newcomer to SRN is going to be our winner tonight. He finished second last week at Daytona. He's going to be our winner tonight for Rowell Motorsports. It's James Holzer in that 42 machine. James, tell us how you're feeling, man. How was the race?
We're feeling really good, especially after last year with the shifter malfunction. This one was circled on the calendar. I was very concerned on that. We were concerned about tires really as a team throughout the race, just because of the amount of cautions we were having, and not really used to having tire sets in this league, which it's a great implement, and it really made for some different strategy. I really thought that the 10, the 1, all those other guys, there was like 5 or 6 of them that were running towards the top 10, if not in the top 10 and top 5 all race, took those tires, and if it went green, I knew we were pretty much screwed. I thought, at least, but they burnt enough of their stuff up getting through that we were able to stay close, and was going to not call out my pit stop, but I didn't want somebody on fresh tires to run me over, so I called it out, and Benson made an incredible pit stop from the top lane all the way down the bottom because he knew he had to get in, and it was a very, very remarkable pit stop. He got on really, really good, and we had a good pit stop, slid in perfect, came out perfect, was really digging out, was getting sideways coming off pit road, getting after it so hard, and he caught the lap traffic at the wrong time, and it slowed his momentum down and allowed me to get right to him, and then we got positioned to his inside, pulled a slide job, and after the 6-7 laps, the fresh air is just huge because it's hard to pass on the bottom, especially by yourself. So yeah, I mean, we had really, really good long run speed, but the fresh air was just crucial. And a lot of those cautions at the beginning, like I said, kind of made us sketched out with the tire sets. So it really made for a lot of unknowns with what was going on. We just wanted to try to maintain as much of the race control as possible. And I know Rowell Smith Racing didn't get, or Rowell Motorsports didn't get the best finishes that we could. We did have 4 drivers in the top 10, but I know Jake Rowell got some damage there towards the middle part of that race. Dean Brumman went through the grass. So overall, though, got to take what we can get, and it was a great finish.
Yeah, and we're starting the season 4 very different types of racetracks to start it off, and you and Scott Healy actually are the only 2 that really are backing up incredibly strong showings from last week here again this week, and we continue that trend. How do you feel going to Dover?
Dover is a really good track for us. Last season it was not because of the Chevy nose, the nose damage or whatever the aero damage thing was, that it would just take your aero off if you had no damage. That was really hurting us. It's a slick track, high horsepower. Have not really any practice yet, but a lot of week left. We'll definitely get a couple laps in as a team, as Rowell Motorsports, and I know we'll be on top of it when it matters.
All right, well, I'm glad I'm not the only one that's still saying RSR. Still getting used to that, but
it's really hard. I said it once.
Yeah, well, let's hear what you got for your sponsors this week. Any shout-outs and family, any friends in attendance you want to go ahead and give a shout-out to?
Yeah, want to thank you guys always for doing a great broadcast. It's a lot of fun to go back and rewatch after the race is over. Great coverage. Just want to thank Rowell Motorsports for bringing me in once again. We finished first twice and second so far since we made the switch, so I think they've made me better equally. So got to thank Jake for taking me under his wing, and we're doing a great job as a team. Awesome communication. It's been a lot of fun. I haven't had this much fun league racing in a while. Also got to thank JP Designs for being on the car. For your paint scheme needs, check them out on Facebook. Scheme's starting at $5 with some package deals also. Does a great job.
All right, buddy, let's go ahead and get you back down to your RMS teammates. Celebrate your win tonight, man. You guys had a great week here at Kansas. We'll see you next week at Dover.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Well, that was your winner, James Holzer, this week at Kansas Speedway. Your runner-up last week at Daytona, so he's having a great start to his season. But we'll see if he's going to keep it up at the Monster Mile. That's where we're heading next week for Week 3 action here in the Speed Racing Network Cup Series. It's the Dodging Delaware 200 at Dover International Speedway. Catch that Sunday, August 1st at 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern, Brandon. Expecting a lot of the same, a little more chaos. What are you thinking next week?
I think since we were saying it was a tale of 2 races, it's going to be a lot more like the first race that we saw tonight. I think you're going to see a lot of chaos. I think you're going to see a lot of damaged vehicles early, and It's just a difficult racetrack to make your way around. Very, very different from what we had tonight. And we started off actually this week with the trucks running Wednesday night, as always, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. They'll have 125 laps as they wrestle with Miles the Monster out there in Delaware.
Man, we saw such a great race at Kansas for the Truck Series, and I expect a lot of the same heading into Dover. Some really great contenders. We got a lot of talent in this Truck Series this year, and it's really showing as we head into Week 3 at Delaware. And yeah, we're going to see if we can get a third different winner in the Truck Series this week, but that's going to really do it for us tonight here in the Speed Racing Network Cup Series. And as always, for Greg Olenik and Brandon Domingue, we like to leave you with Go Faster.